Chapter 123. What's going on? My origin power has increased by quite a bit. Suddenly, Fei Rin's dantian also abruptly throbbed, as if a large amount of origin energy was about to gush out, surging endlessly. Could it be that after taking that bastard's palm, my cultivation is about to break through again? With a surprised expression, Fei Rin felt that it was inconceivable. Previously, he was on the verge of breaking through and was only one step away from the 9th layer of the middle unity boundary. Now that he had escaped death, he had profited from the disaster, and his origin power cultivation was once again on the verge of breaking through. The heavens are helping me. Seeing this scene, Fei Rin immediately operated his cultivation method and began to break through. The opportunity to make a breakthrough in cultivation was something that could only be encountered by chance. Therefore, he certainly couldn't let it go. Moreover, his strength would also increase by a lot once his cultivation reached the 9th layer of the middle union stage. Even though he still couldn't defeat that mysterious masked man, he would still have the strength to fight against Yun Xian, Guan Changhong, and other veteran star-boundary powerhouses. Boom! With the help of the blood decay bone revitalization pill, Fei Rin's injuries were more or less healed. At the same time, his origin power cultivation broke through as he wished and stepped into the 9th layer of the middle unity boundary. His entire body was filled with strength again. That masked bastard must have come for the inheritance of the ancient tomb ruins. I can't fight him head-on right now, so I can only look for other opportunities first. Standing up, Fei Rin's expression was solemn. Although the inside of the ancient tomb was very vast, most of the cultivators who came here were aiming for the tomb owner's opportunity and inheritance. In the end, they were bound to clash with each other, so it was not appropriate for Fei Rin to compete for this opportunity. Moreover, in the face of the inheritance left behind by a martial spirit realm expert, he did not believe that the Chung family would care about this thin friendship and not attack him. After all, in the world of warriors, there were no eternal friends, only eternal interests. Therefore, Fei Rin only believed in himself. There were still many places in the ancient tomb ruins that had not been explored. Fei Rin planned to go to other places to try his luck and escape from the mysterious masked man's pursuit. Although that bastard is strong, he can't fight against 100 people alone. Clenching his fists, Fei Rin's expression was fierce. As long as the 3 major forces of Yi City attacked together, even if the mysterious masked man was a first-layer martial master realm expert, he would have no choice but to retreat. Moreover, there were also many warriors and rogue cultivators in the ancient tomb ruins. How could he be willing to let the inheritance of the ancient tomb ruins be snatched by the masked man alone? His cultivation, on the other hand, the 5 Mountain King capturing palm, while on the other hand, the 5 King capturing capture palm was still at the initial stage. On the other, his 5-5 Mountain King capturing palm was on. If his 5-5 Mountain capturing 5, his 5-5-5 palm to be. Even though the 5 Mountain King capturing palm was a quasi 4th grade martial art, its might was no less than that of an ordinary 4th grade martial art. With Fei Rin's current cultivation at the 9th stage of the Zhangyi realm, if he could cultivate this martial art to the great perfection stage, he wouldn't be afraid even if he faced a 2nd grade star realm expert with the help of the Black Tortoise longevity scripture and the traceless snow steps. As far as Fei Rin knew, other than the mysterious masked man from before, the only other person who was at the 2nd level of the star realm was Yun Xian, the head of the Yun family. Moreover, Yun Xian was not young anymore. He had already missed the golden age for cultivation. Unless he had some fortuitous encounter, it would be very difficult for his strength to improve greatly. In other words, in this ancient tomb, as long as the mysterious masked man of unknown origin didn't attack, Fei Rin didn't fear anyone at all. It's a pity that I still can't understand the ability of the divine Immortal Cauldron. Could it be that I can only use it after stepping into the high star realm? With the breakthrough in his cultivation, Fei Rin tried to use his origin power and summoned the divine Immortal Cauldron at the same time. However, the divine Immortal Cauldron was still the same as before. Other than being able to refine all kinds of things, it didn't have any other magical abilities. At the same time, it couldn't help him kill or defend against enemies. As long as this cauldron is here, I won't be afraid of any opponent no matter what. Since the divine immortal cauldron was known as the divine cauldron and could refine all things, it naturally wouldn't be so simple. Faerun knew this very well, but he wasn't discouraged. As his origin power cultivation continued to improve, the mysteries of the divine immortal cauldron would gradually reveal themselves. In the dense forest, a figure streaked across the sky. In the next moment, Faerun blasted out a huge origin power palm with a backhand. The mountain range on the palm overlapped and then landed in the dense forest not far away. Countless trees exploded and turned into dust at the same time. The Five Mountains King capturing palm has finally broken through to the realm of great success. Faerun's body landed on the ground, and his face was filled with joy. It had been 3 days since his narrow escape from death. He had been hiding here and cultivating silently for most of the time. He didn't go out to fight for the inheritance of the ancient tomb ruins. Finally, his efforts had paid off. The Five Mountains King capturing Palm's breakthrough to the realm of great success also meant that Faerun's strength had increased by another level. Among the geniuses of the same generation, even if he encountered the young master of the Yun family, Yun Tung, he could defeat him in 3 moves and kill him in 10 moves. Yun Tung was undoubtedly the #1 person among the younger generation in Yi City. Although his origin power cultivation was only at the 9th stage of the Middle Union realm, which was similar to Faerun's, his strength wasn't weak at all. In his early years, he had displayed his invincible prowess in a battle. He had faced 3 veteran martial artists of the 10th stage of the Middle Union realm alone and turned the tables in the end. Yun Tang's overall strength was no less than a martial artist of the 1st stage of the Star Realm. However, Faerun was still confident that he could defeat or even kill him. After all, the martial arts he cultivated weren't weak, and he had rich combat experience. As for the Black Tortoise's immortality scripture, it was an authentic 5th-grade cultivation method. It was unique even in the Dachu dynasty. It's time to leave this place. Faerun took out a piece of beef jerky from his spirit ring and took a big bite. He had a thoughtful expression on his face. His experience as a beggar in the past had trained him to survive in the wild. He wouldn't starve to death even if he had a little bit of water and rations. Although martial artists cultivated origin power and tempered their bodies, they were still flesh and blood in the end. They couldn't achieve fasting like the immortals in the ancient books. They still had to eat when they needed to. Moreover, he was currently in the wilderness. There wasn't much to eat. Even the rations left in his spirit ring were from Lu Shuai and the others before Faerun robbed them. He had already finished all the rations he brought with him. When he finished all the rations, he could only kill devil beasts to satisfy his hunger. Faerun flew out of the dense forest. After a while, he stopped with a surprised expression on his face. Dong! 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 He could hear the faint sound of a bell ringing slowly coming from the northwest. It was getting closer and closer, as if it wasn't far away. Why is there a bell ringing here? Let's go take a look. Although he felt it was strange, he suppressed his curiosity. Faerun couldn't help but speed up. He then ran in the direction of the bell ringing. Outside a nameless valley surrounded by lush trees, the faint bell ringing from before came from here. It's here. A few minutes later, Faerun also hurried over. Looks like there's no one else here. Looking around, Faerun circulated his origin power at the same time. He found that there were no other origin chi fluctuations around the valley. However, there was an obvious devil chi aura inside the valley. It seemed that some devil beast lived inside, and its devil chi wasn't weak. There's a big guy in there, but I'm not willing to leave just like that. Faerun also felt the strong devil chi aura inside the valley. He touched his chin with a determined expression. Although the road ahead was dangerous, he couldn't just give up like this. After all, riches came from danger. No matter how dangerous it was, he had to try. Chapter 124. Swoosh. Fei Ren leaped and stepped into the valley. He saw that the valley was surrounded by steep cliffs, and above him was a line of sky. It seemed like the best place to set up an ambush. However, there were no signs of human martial artists. There were only weeds as far as the eye could see, as well as some crushed rocks. No other martial artists have been here before. There should be an opportunity here. At this moment, the faint sound of a bell still came from the depths of the valley. At the same time, it tugged at Fei Ren's heart. An opportunity could be obtained by anyone, and it was nothing more than luck. Beat! After walking along the valley for a while, a loud and clear cry suddenly came from the depths of the valley. It was like the cry of an eagle, and its aura was sharp and sharp. There is indeed something here. Fei Ren's body paused, and he suddenly stopped. At the same time, he retracted his aura and hid behind a huge rock. At this moment, his gaze was fixed on the cliff not far away. He saw that the cliff was covered in weeds, and there were pieces of rocks protruding out of nowhere. There was a huge nest built in the crevice of the rocks. At this moment, a few small gray heads were poking out of the huge nest. Their wings were not fully developed, and their beastly eyes were slightly narrowed. They seemed to be the cubs of some kind of devil beast, and the cry from before came from them. So they are the cubs of the black feathered vulture. Has this valley become its nest? No wonder no other devil beast or human martial artist dares to approach this place. Stroking his chin, Fei Ren had a thoughtful expression on his face. The black feathered vulture was a mystic rank devil beast. An adult black feathered vulture's devil aura was at least above the mystic rank low rank, and was comparable to a third-level star realm human martial artist. As for the black feathered vulture cubs in the huge nest before him, they were slightly weaker. The devil aura on their bodies was only at the yellow rank low rank. Moreover, these black feathered vulture cubs had not fully developed their wings and could not fly in the air. Their sharp beaks had not fully developed, and they could not tear their prey to shreds in one strike. Clearly, they did not have much combat power, and an ordinary 4th or 5th level martial artist could easily kill them. These little bastards won't be able to defend this place. Although there were only a few young black-feathered vultures, Fei Ren did not act rashly. Previously, he had felt a strong magical aura outside the valley, and it was far beyond that of a yellow-level magical beast. It had already reached the level of a profound-level magical beast. Obviously, there were other adult black-feathered vultures here. Beat! Just as Fei Ren was hiding and observing, another eagle cry came from the sky. In the next moment, a black shadow flashed, and a huge black feathered vulture appeared in the sky. Then, it spread its wings, as if covering the sky, and steadily landed on the huge nest on the opposite cliff. Shwa! The black feathered vulture's body was huge, and its magic aura was incomparably strong. It had already reached the low level of the profound rank. At this moment, it was holding a tiger that had been dead for a long time in its mouth. Its pair of eagle eyes were sharp and lively, as if it had just returned from a hunt. Low level of the profound rank. Is there only one? Seeing the black feathered vulture suddenly appear, Fei Ren was not surprised. Instead, he continued to hide behind the huge rock. At the same time, he restrained his aura to the minimum, as if he had become one with the surrounding illusion. Even the black feathered vulture on the opposite cliff did not notice him. Fei Ren did not care about a low level of the profound rank black feathered vulture. If he attacked with all his strength, he had a very high chance of killing this beast. At this moment, his only concern was that there was more than one black feathered vulture in the valley. If he was unlucky and encountered 2 black feathered vultures, he would have no choice but to escape. The strength of a low level of the profound rank black feathered vulture was comparable to a 3rd-level star realm human martial artist. Fei Ren did not think that he had the strength to deal with 2 3rd-level star realm martial artists at the same time. Although he was a little confident and arrogant, he was not stupid. Let's wait and see. Behind the huge rock, Fei Ren held his breath and concentrated. He still did not attack. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Just as Fei Ren was waiting for an opportunity to attack, the black feathered vulture cubs in the huge nest began to eat. A few small black feather vulture cubs did not seem to have big stomachs, but their appetites were astonishing. In a short while, they had devoured the tiger's corpse, leaving not even a bit of meat behind. Although tigers were the kings of beasts in the mortal world and the fighters of birds of prey, they did not have much resistance against magical beasts, especially profound rank magical beasts with profound magic power. The black feather vultures only needed to lightly claw a few adult tigers to tear them apart and turn them into their own food. Beat! The black-feathered vulture on the huge nest also flapped its wings and soared into the sky once again as it quietly watched its young finish eating. At this moment, a pair of eagle eyes were staring intently at the bottom of the valley. There was an ancient stone platform there. The weak bell chime that Fei Ren had heard earlier came from the ancient stone platform. Is this the target of this beast? Seeing the black-feathered vulture's abnormal behavior, Fei Ren also narrowed his eyes. Previously, his attention was all on the black-feathered vulture cubs in the huge nest. He did not notice that there was an ancient stone platform in the open space below. At this moment, it was emitting a faint bell sound. Then, it slowly spread through the valley and out of the valley. Beat! Suddenly, the black-feathered vulture let out a long cry again. Then, it swooped down toward the ancient stone platform below. A pair of sharp claws grabbed the stone platform fiercely. Magic power surged in the claws, bringing about a whistling wind. It was trying to lift the stone platform in front of it. Bang! There was a loud explosion. In the face of the black-feathered vulture's attack, the ancient stone platform did not change at all. It only trembled a little. It seemed to be surrounded by some kind of invisible barrier. Even the stones on the surface did not break. It was incomparably sturdy. There must be treasures in that stone platform, and the bell sound came from there. Seeing this scene, Fei Ren's face was filled with realization. At this moment, he finally understood why the black-feathered vulture chose this nameless valley as its habitat. There was a high probability that it was for some kind of treasure or spiritual material in the ancient stone platform. A fine bird chooses a tree to nest in, and so does a magical beast. In the Black Star continent, some high-level magical beast intelligence was not inferior to that of a human teenager. Some treasures could not escape their eyes. If the ancient stone platform was not mysterious, this low-level black feather vulture would not be so persistent. It attacked the ancient stone platform again and again. Beat! An hour later, the black-feathered gray vulture finally stopped attacking, seemingly exhausted. After which, it circled the sky above the valley a couple of times, emitting waves of cries. It seemed to be somewhat unwilling and angry. After pacing back and forth a couple of times, it finally returned to the huge nest on the cliff. Even a Tier 3 spirit treasure does not have such power. The spirit treasure in this ancient stone platform is at least a Tier 4 spirit treasure. Seeing that the black feather vulture could not even break the invisible barrier outside the ancient stone platform, Fei Ren's heart skipped a beat. He could not help but clench his fists under his sleeves. Now, he was lacking a powerful spirit treasure. If he could get his hands on a powerful spirit treasure, his strength would increase rapidly. Even if he faced the mysterious masked man, he would be able to fight back. He would not be chased like a pig by the other party. Chapter 125. This is truly a heaven-sent opportunity. Thinking of this, Fei Ren could not help but be overjoyed. Right now, the black-feathered vulture in the valley was in a state of exhaustion, and there were no signs of other black-feathered vultures around. It was undoubtedly the best opportunity for him to make a move. If he could kill this black-feathered vulture, not only would he be able to obtain a low profound rank monster core, but he would also be able to obtain the nameless treasure in the ancient stone platform, killing two birds with one stone. Ever since he stepped into the ancient tomb ruins, Fei Ren had first encountered the attack of a powerful beast tide, then he encountered the pursuit of the mysterious masked man. He had been sullenly escaping all the way. Not only did he not pick up any treasures, but he had also almost lost his life. Now that he had encountered such a good opportunity, he naturally would not let it go. Moreover, a mere low, profound rank magical beast could not stop Fei Rin's footsteps. Destroy! With a low shout, Fei Rin gently raised his left palm. Then, the origin energy in his palm surged, and he blasted a palm towards the cliff not far away. Bang! Rumble! The palm chi cut through the air and finally ruthlessly hit the cliff in the middle of the valley, causing a series of continuous tremors. In the next moment, the black-feathered vulture resting in the huge nest was completely awakened. It immediately flapped its wings and flew high, instantly arriving in the sky above the valley. Beat! The black-feathered vulture could be seen circling in the sky above the valley. Its pair of sharp eagle eyes scanned the ground below, obviously searching for the source of the commotion. Its aura was ferocious. After a while, it landed on Fei Rin, who was beside the open space, and its eyes were filled with killing intent. The original power of Fei Rin's palm was not ordinary. It was enough to kill any martial artist below the 10th stage of the Middle Union realm. As for the few black-feathered vultures in the huge nest, needless to say, if they were affected by the aftershock of the palm chi, they would undoubtedly die. Yellow rank magical beasts were unable to resist Fei Rin's attack. But this low, profound, rank black feather vulture was an exception. It had suddenly awakened and then flapped its wings to disperse the aftershock of the palm chi. Otherwise, the few black-feathered vultures in its nest would not have been able to keep their lives. Beat! Seeing Fei Rin appear in the valley, the black-feathered vulture let out a long cry, as if it was enraged by Fei Rin's sudden attack. After all, Fei Rin was attacking a child. All living things had spirituality, so the black-feathered vulture was naturally filled with murderous intent towards Fei Rin. Without giving Fei Rin a chance to react, the black-feathered vulture flapped its huge wings and flew towards Fei Rin. A pair of sharp claws went straight for Fei Rin's chest. The sound of the claws breaking through the air was so loud that it could shake the heavens. As a low-level, profound, rank magical beast, not only was the black-feathered vulture's magical energy powerful, but its pair of giant claws could easily crush boulders. Even its speed was ridiculously fast. In the blink of an eye, it had charged in front of Fei Rin, its eyes red. Is this beast angry? That's exactly what I wanted. Seeing the black-feathered vulture flying towards him, Fei Rin snorted coldly. At the same time, he circulated his yuan power and faced it head-on. 5 Mountain King capturing palm. With a loud roar, Fei Rin waved his palm and blasted forward. A huge palm, made of yuan power, appeared and collided heavily with the black-feathered vulture's huge claw. At the same time, the surroundings were shaken into a mess. Whoosh whoosh! After a few leaps, Fei Rin also retreated and slowly landed at the back of the valley. He didn't have any injuries on his body. Only the corners of his clothes and trousers were slightly damaged. It seemed that he had been affected by the black-feathered vulture's giant claws. Beat! The black-feathered vulture let out a sorrowful cry, as if it had suffered some injuries in the fight with Fei Rin. It once again flapped its wings and flew high into the sky, fleeing back to its huge nest on the cliff. Its momentum was low, and as it fled, a few drops of icy cold magical beast blood could be faintly seen dripping down from the sky. The black-feathered vulture in front of him had used up a lot of magical energy to attack the ancient stone platform. Although its magical energy realm had reached the low-level profound rank, its strength was only 2/3 of its peak state. It was comparable to a martial artist at the first level of the star realm. Therefore, it was naturally at a disadvantage against Fei Rin. Trying to run, seeing the black-feathered vulture flee back to its nest, Fei Rin's eyes widened. He naturally wouldn't let this black-feathered vulture escape. Otherwise, it would be too dangerous. Moreover, he wouldn't have a chance to take the nameless treasure in the ancient stone platform. 5 Mountain King capturing palm. In the blink of an eye, Fei Rin channeled his magical energy and blasted out a huge magical energy palm filled with the shadows of mountains toward the huge nest on the cliff not far away. The monk could run away, but the temple couldn't. Although the black-feathered vulture wanted to escape, its nest was still there. Moreover, there were a few black-feathered vulture chicks inside. Faerun didn't believe that this beast would hide inside forever. It would rather its nest be destroyed and its chicks die. Beep! Suddenly, the black-feathered vulture let out another long cry. Faced with Faerun's repeated attacks, the black-feathered vulture in the nest finally couldn't hold back anymore. It let out a series of angry cries and flew out of the nest again. It pounced toward Faerun, intending to fight with its life on the line. Beast! In the face of the black-feathered vulture's attack, Faerun's expression was stern and fearless. At the same time, magical energy wrapped around his palms, emitting waves of heart-palpitating waves. Now that the Five-Mountain King capturing palm had broken through to the mastery realm, his full-strength palm was enough to kill any magical beast below the profound rank in an instant. Moreover, the black-feathered vulture in front of him was only a low-level profound rank. Moreover, it had already exhausted its strength, and its strength was less than half of its peak state. Die! With a furious roar, Faerun stepped on a series of afterimages. His entire figure strangely disappeared on the spot, dodging the black-feathered vulture's rapid attack. In the next moment, he circled behind the black-feathered vulture. At the same time, both of his palms struck out and heavily imprinted on the black-feathered vulture's back. Bang! Boom! Beep! In an instant, the explosion of magical energy resounded in all directions. The black-feathered vulture immediately let out a miserable cry. Its entire back was actually cut off by Faerun. Its pair of huge wings drooped down powerlessly as blood flowed. In the end, it fell to the ground and flopped a few times before it stopped moving. It was completely dead. One palm, instantly killing a low-level, profound, rank magical beast. Although the black-feathered vulture in front of him was not in its peak state, it could be seen that Faerun's strength was far from before. Compared to when he first met Chengzhouquan, he was more than several times stronger. After all, he had just broken through to the 7th level of the Middle Union realm not long ago. Now, he was already a martial artist at the 9th level of the Middle Union realm. There really is a magical core. After dealing with the black-feathered vulture, Faerun immediately stepped forward. At the same time, he raised his palm and wrapped it in a ball of spiritual fire. In an instant, he reached for the black-feathered vulture's head and took out a palm-sized black crystal core. It was the magical core in the black-feathered vulture's body. As a low-level, profound, rank magical beast, the magical core in the black-feathered vulture's body was much larger than an ordinary yellow rank magical beast. At the same time, the magical energy contained in it was also quite extraordinary. If he used the Immortal Refining Divine Cauldron to absorb it, Faerun's magical energy cultivation would not immediately break through, but it would still increase by a lot. Chapter 126. Beep, beep. At this moment, the few black-feathered vulture hatchlings in the huge nest also let out a series of mournful cries. They seemed to have gained intelligence and sensed the death of their kin. Everything has its own spirituality. I have to hurry up. Hearing this, Faerun raised his head. In the next moment, he narrowed his eyes and kept the demon core in his palm. The black-feathered vulture that he had killed was female. As for the other male black-feathered vulture, he did not know where it was. He had fought for so long and did not appear. At this moment, he only wanted to get the nameless treasure in this simple stone platform as soon as possible and leave this valley. This is the aura of a formation. Stepping forward, Faerun could clearly feel that this simple stone platform was surrounded by a layer of invisible barrier. Although it was not easy to see with the naked eye, it was extremely sturdy. Ordinary people would not be able to get within 30 meters unless they broke the formation. Five-Mountain King capturing palm. He raised his hand and blasted out a palm. The palm energy, mixed with origin power, landed on the simple stone platform. In the end, it crashed onto the invisible barrier outside with a loud bang, causing a series of ripples. However, the invisible barrier did not move at all. There were no signs of it shattering. I don't believe it. Although his attack did not succeed, Fei Run did not give up. Instead, he continued to circulate his origin power. Palm after palm bombarded the simple stone platform. For a moment, there was no end to it. The sound echoed throughout the entire valley. The dead black feathered vulture had attacked the simple stone platform many times. In addition, the formation's power was not endless. There would be a time when it would be exhausted. Hence, Fei Run was very patient. Boom! Crack! Crack! Half an hour later, under Fei Ren's frenzied attacks, a crack finally appeared on the originally indestructible invisible barrier. Finally, it spread out in all directions like a spiderweb. In the next moment, it collapsed with a loud bang and completely disappeared into nothingness. The formation was broken. The treasure was at his fingertips. It's indeed mysterious. Seeing that the formation was broken, Fei Run raised his eyebrows and revealed a hint of joy. Then he jumped in front of the simple stone platform. Is this an array spirit treasure? He saw a large yellow flag lying quietly on the stone platform. The flag was engraved with the pattern of the 8 trigrams of the universe. It was very strange. The faint sound of the bell from before was emitted from the large yellow flag. As the invisible barrier outside was broken, the sound of the bell also disappeared in an instant. What a powerful array spirit treasure. Just by relying on the power of a few primal stones, it can actually withstand the continuous attacks of a low-level, profound stage magical beast without moving an inch. Fei Run extended his hand and picked up the large yellow flag on the stone platform. At this moment, he finally noticed that there were a few mid-grade yuan stones placed at the corners of the stone platform. They seemed to be one of the energy sources that supported the large yellow flag to release the formation. However, due to his continuous attacks, the yuan power of the mid-grade yuan stones had been completely exhausted. What a pity. Fei Run shifted his gaze away from the stone platform. Even though mid-grade primordial stones were valuable, the stones on the stone platform no longer had any value. The primordial chi contained within them had been depleted, and they were now just a pile of useless stones. The 8 trigrams of the universe flag. This array spirit treasure is actually a 5th-grade spirit treasure. Holding the large yellow flag in his hand, Fei Run also channeled his yuan power into it in the next moment. Then, he felt a strange message enter the depths of his mind. It was about the origin of the large yellow flag. The large yellow flag in his hand was called the 8 trigrams of the universe flag. Moreover, it was a rare 5th-grade array spirit treasure. Rich. At this moment, Fei Ren's face could not help but reveal a burst of ecstasy. He was unable to restrain his excitement. Array spirit treasures were rarer than ordinary spirit treasures. Moreover, the 8 trigrams of the universe flag in his hand was a 5th-grade spirit treasure. Its power was naturally extraordinary. Otherwise, it would not be able to withstand the continuous attacks of a low-level, profound stage magical beast without moving an inch. Moreover, the condition to activate the 8 trigrams of the universe flag was very simple. It only needed abundant yuan power to support it. The stronger the yuan power, the stronger the defensive array released by the 8 trigrams of the universe flag. If there was an endless supply of yuan stones to support the array, even a few high-level star stage martial artists would not be able to break the array. Previously, there were a few mid-grade yuan stones placed on the simple stone platform. The yuan power contained in a mid-grade yuan stone was far greater than that of a low-grade yuan stone. One of them was equivalent to 100 low-grade yuan stones. Therefore, the 8 trigrams of the universe flag was able to release a powerful defensive array. It formed an invisible barrier outside the stone platform and blocked the low-level, profound stage black feathered vulture outside. This beast has done a good thing. At this point, Fei Run had more or less grasped the mystery of the 8 trigrams of the universe flag. At the same time, He glanced at the corpse of the black feathered vulture beside him. If it was not for the fact that the other party had consumed most of the yuan power of the 8 trigrams of the universe flag, he would not have been able to break the array so easily and then put the 8 trigrams of the universe flag into his bag. After all, the 8 trigrams of the universe flag was a 5th-grade array spirit treasure. Moreover, it had consumed the yuan power of a few mid-grade yuan stones. The array released naturally had an extraordinary defensive power. It's time to leave this place. After putting the 8 trigrams of the universe flag into his bag and sensing that there were no other treasures in the valley, Faerun also leaped and left at lightning speed. Now that he had this array spirit treasure, he had another life-saving method. At that time, even if he met the mysterious masked man again, it would not be so easy for the other party to kill him so easily. On the other side of the ancient tomb ruins, 2 groups of people were entangled. A fierce battle was in full swing, and the surroundings were a mess. Bang! After forcing the other party back with a punch, Guan Changhong's face turned ugly. At the same time, he looked at a middle-aged man not far away and shouted, "Chang Qingshan, are you determined to stop me? Everyone can obtain opportunities. If your Golden Rainbow escort service is not convinced, you can come and try." The middle-aged man was wearing armor and had a determined face. At this moment, he was looking at Guan Changhong with a cold smile. His tone was disdainful, as if he did not put the other party in his eyes. This bastard. Hearing this, Guan Changhong was even more furious. Although his origin energy cultivation was at the 1st level of the star realm and his strength was powerful, the other party was not weak either. His origin energy cultivation was also at the 1st level of the star realm, which was on par with him. Moreover, he was from a steel core under the current imperial court, so his background was not small. The middle-aged man's name was Chang Qingshan, and he was a deputy commander of the steel corps. He had thousands of soldiers under his command, and the news of the ancient tomb ruins appearing this time naturally fell into his ears. Therefore, he also rushed over with a portion of his army, intending to seize the opportunity. "Guan Changhong, it's just some low-grade primordial stones. If you insist on fighting with us here, the inheritance left behind by the ancient tomb ruins owner might not have anything to do with your Golden Rainbow escort service." Seeing Guan Changhong burning with anger, Chang Qingshan also grinned and said in a playful tone, the soldiers under his command were all Middle Union realm martial artists. Furthermore, the majority of their essence force cultivation was at the 5th stage of the Middle Union realm and above. Their strength was about the same as those escorts under Guan Changhong. Guan Changhong had come for the inheritance left behind in the ancient tomb ruins. Therefore, he had predicted that Guan Changhong would not fight to the death with him here and waste his strength for nothing. At present, there were 4 or 5 scattered broken treasure chests piled up in front of everyone. The treasure chests were faintly shining with silver light, and, at the same time, a few primordial stones rolled out. Obviously, the treasures inside were primordial stones, and they were low-grade primordial stones. There were at least tens of thousands of low-grade primordial stones in these 4 or 5 broken treasure chests. Tens of thousands of low-grade primordial stones. It was not difficult to understand why the Golden Rainbow escort service and the Steel Corps would fight. After all, this was not a small amount, and it could be called a windfall. Let's go. Although he was somewhat unwilling, what Chang Qingshan said was the truth. In the next moment, Guan Changhong also snorted coldly, then turned around and hurriedly left with his army, seemingly giving up on the low-grade primordial stones in these treasure chests. Chapter 127. Father, why did you get to them? He's just a deputy commander of the Steel Corps. Do you think our Golden Rainbow escort service is afraid of him? On the side, Guan Suo, who was leading the retreating team, was also furious. As one of the top geniuses of the younger generation in Yi City, Guan Suo's strength was also in the upper echelons. Moreover, he was extremely arrogant and unruly. When he saw Guan Changhong give away the several tens of thousands of low-grade origin stones without putting up much resistance, he was extremely unwilling. This time, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service had more than 30 people in the team heading to the ancient tomb. Among them, Guan Changhong was a martial artist of the first level of the Star Realm, while the rest were all above the 5th level of the Middle Union Realm. There were also 2 or 3 experts at the 10th level of the Middle Union Realm. In terms of strength, they were not afraid of Chang Qingshan soldiers at all. Although Chang Qingshan was a deputy commander of the Steel Corps and held an official position in the Imperial Court, his influence was ultimately limited. He was at most a small figure in the Steel Corps. Moreover, there were only 20 or so soldiers under his command. On the other hand, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service was a first-rate force in Yi City and had a strong foundation. If the two teams really fought, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service would not necessarily be at a disadvantage. As long as Guan Changhong could hold back Chang Qingshan, the only martial artist of the High Union Realm, Guan Suo was extremely confident that he could defeat the soldiers under Chang Qingshan's command. Moreover, he could make them retreat in disorder. Although his cultivation was only at the 8th level of the Middle Union Realm, Guan Suo's strength was not weaker than that of the Cheng family's Cheng Zhouquan. If he used his full strength, he could kill an ordinary 9th level of the Middle Union Realm martial artist. In the younger generation of Yi City, Yun Teng, who was second only to the Yun family, was on par with Cheng Zhouquan. So, although that bastard Chang Qingshan is nothing to be afraid of, don't forget our purpose this time. If we fight with these lackeys of the Imperial Court, even if we win, it won't do us much good. Moreover, it's easy to lose the initiative. The Yun family and the Cheng family are also eyeing the inheritance of the owner of the ancient tomb. How can I let them succeed so easily? Let these people make a fuss first. This time, we only need to wait for an opportunity to reap the benefits. Glancing at the indignant Guan Suo beside him, Guan Changhong's expression was calm. He seemed to have recovered from his previous rage and said coldly, "Father, these guys are really despicable. If it weren't for the Imperial Court backing them up, a mere deputy commander wouldn't dare to jump on top of our heads and behave atrociously." As soon as he finished speaking, Guan Suo clenched his fists and then swung them angrily. It seemed that he was still brooding over the fact that he couldn't force Chang Qingshan to retreat. Chang Qingshan was the deputy commander of the Steel Corps. His cultivation was profound and not weaker than Yun Xian, Cheng Batian, and Guan Changhong. However, he came from an Imperial Court army and usually didn't interfere with the affairs around Yi City. Usually, he just stayed in the barracks to train his troops. If the ancient tomb hadn't appeared out of nowhere this time, Chang Qingshan wouldn't have bumped into Guan Changhong and the others. After all, the two rarely interacted. As a general of the Imperial Court, Chang Qingshan had always looked down on the local forces like Yi City. Other than the Imperial Court of the Great Chu dynasty, only the 3-9 ranks of the great families in the Dacha dynasty could enter his eyes. The 3-9 ranks of the great families in the Dacha dynasty were the pavilion of Prince Teng, the Qingyuan school, and the Lingjian school. Among them, the pavilion of Prince Teng and the Lingjian school were sects loyal to the Imperial Court of the Great Chu dynasty. As for the Qingyuan school, it was more mysterious. It rarely participated in worldly affairs and focused on martial arts. Liang Yuan, who Fei Rin killed previously, was a registered disciple of the Lingjian school. Let Chang Qingshan and his gang be proud for a while. They will spit out these low-grade primordial stones sooner or later. With a cold snort, Guan Changhong increased his speed again. Then, he ran towards the northwest direction of the ancient tomb. There were many primordial chi fluctuations gathered there. It seemed to be the location of the true inheritance of the ancient tomb. Everyone follow. Seeing this, Guan Suo didn't hesitate and also led a group of escorts to follow closely behind. Since entering the ancient tomb this time, their Golden Rainbow Escort Service didn't suffer many losses. They only lost 2 or 3 Zhanghe Realm escorts. At the same time, they obtained many high-grade monster cores, primordial stones, and some medicinal herbs. It was a small harvest, but compared to the ancient tomb and the true inheritance, it was a piece of cake. In front of the desolate hall, the surroundings were a mess. Broken bricks and tiles. Commander Chong, everything has been counted. There are a total of 45,000 low-grade primordial stones. No more, no less. A young soldier in black armor flew over and then landed in front of Chong Qingshan. He cupped his hands and said respectfully, although he was only in his 30s, he was a level 1-star realm martial artist. He was extremely powerful and was also one of the most popular people in the Steel Corps. He was deeply trusted by the higher-ups of the Steel Corps. In just 4 or 5 years, he had been promoted to the position of deputy commander. His position in the Imperial Court was also level 5. The amount is not small. How many burial items did the owner of this tomb leave behind? He is so rich. Hearing this, Chong Qingshan raised his eyebrows and showed a trace of surprise. Now, the news of the ancient tomb's appearance had not spread yet, but there were already more than 1,000 martial artists rushing into it. Including the 3 first-rate forces of Yi City, many martial artists and rogue cultivators had small gains, not to mention the monster cores and medicinal herbs. In this ancient tomb, the owner of the tomb had left behind many secret rooms and treasures. In addition, there were devil beasts living here, so the natural treasures accumulated over the years were not picked by anyone. Naturally, there were many opportunities. Moreover, for an ordinary martial artist, 45,000 low-grade primordial stones was not a small amount. If used for cultivation, such a huge amount of primordial stones would be enough to support a level 10 middle unity realm martial artist to break through the shackles of his realm and step into the high-star realm. Tell the brothers that you have worked hard. Put all the low-grade primordial stones in these treasure chests into spirit rings. When we get back, I will reward you one by one. Also, tell the brothers to clean up the spoils of war. We have more important things to do later. Waving his hand, Chong Qingshan also gave the order. He was also very interested in the inheritance left behind by the owner of the ancient tomb. Otherwise, he would not have led the team personally. The 3 great first-rate forces of Yi City are just a bunch of martial artists. This time, let's see who is more qualified to fight for the inheritance. Clenching his fists tightly, Chong Qingshan's expression was fierce. His eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. It was obvious that he did not care about Guan Changhong and the others. In his eyes, other than the head of the Yun family, Yun Xian, the others were nothing to be afraid of. On a hillside, Fei Run was wearing a bamboo hat. At this moment, the boundless wind and sand filled the sky. However, it did not affect his state of mind. A large amount of primordial power waves are surging in that direction. Could it be that someone has already found the inheritance left behind by the owner of the ancient tomb? Lifting his eyes and looking towards the northwest, not far away from the hillside, Fei Ren's expression was slightly surprised. It had been 3 days since he left the nameless valley. During this period of time, other than his daily cultivation, he had also plundered many opportunities. However, there were simply too many martial artists who had entered this ancient tomb. There were no more opportunities to be found in the periphery of the ancient tomb. There was not even the shadow of a 3rd-grade medicinal herb. The only valuable thing Fei Run had was the formation spirit treasure that he had picked up earlier, the Heaven and Earth 8 trigrams flag. The Heaven and Earth 8 trigrams flag was a 5th-grade formation spirit treasure. Moreover, it was not damaged at all. As long as there was enough primordial power, it could unleash its full power. The formation that it released could not even be broken by an all-out attack from a high-star realm martial artist. As for whether it could block an attack from a martial master, Fei Run had not tested it yet. However, if the Heaven and Earth 8 trigrams flag wanted to release a defensive formation that could block an attack from a martial master, it would probably require a large amount of mid-grade primordial stones to activate. Otherwise, low-grade primordial stones would not be able to support such a large consumption of primordial power. Chapter 128. My current strength is not enough to contend with that masked bastard. Forget it. Let's wait a little longer, After weighing the pros and cons in his heart, Fei Ren put down his impulse and turned to leave. He did not enter the depths of the ancient tomb. The mysterious masked man who had chased after him was also after the inheritance of the ancient tomb. Furthermore, the masked man was a level 1 martial master. His current strength was not enough to contend with him. It was not a bad idea to let the 3 major powers of Yi City explore the path first. If the masked man and the 3 major powers of Yi City had a conflict, Fei Ren would have the opportunity to fish in troubled waters. Furthermore, the inheritance left behind by the master of the ancient tomb would not be simple and would not be easy to obtain. Therefore, he was not in a hurry. Right now, it's more important to increase my strength. As long as I have another breakthrough in my cultivation and reach level 10 middle unity boundary, I can escape from that masked bastard even if he wants to kill me. Thinking of this, Fei Ren's face flashed with a trace of ruthlessness and his eyes were full of calculation. Avoid the sharp edge and win with wisdom. Fei Ren was not a reckless man who only knew martial arts. Since the difference in strength between the 2 sides was too great, he could only play some tricks. Like other warriors, he had to obtain the inheritance left behind by the master of the ancient tomb and would not give it up easily. After all, the master of the ancient tomb was at least a martial spirit realm existence when he was alive. As a martial spirit realm expert, the inheritance he left behind must be very rich. Even if it was an ordinary middle unity boundary rogue cultivator, if he could obtain this inheritance, it would be more than enough for him to break through to the high star realm or even the martial master realm in the future. Let's find a place to break through first. After a few days of cultivation, Fei Ren had also taken the opportunity to kill many yellow rank magical beasts and harvested no less than a few dozen magic cores. Among them, there were 7 or 8 top yellow rank magic cores. In addition to the black feathered vulture's magic core from before, it was enough to support his breakthrough. Ordinary martial artists didn't dare to directly swallow a demon core and directly refine it into an elixir. The most fundamental reason was that the demon core contained a demon core would conflict with the origin energy that a human martial artist cultivated. If a large amount of demon core was absorbed into the body, it would be easy for the martial artist to go berserk and cause his body to explode. However, Fei Ren's body had fused with the only immortal Tao supreme treasure in the universe, the Immortal refining cauldron. Therefore, he did not have to worry about this problem. The Immortal refining cauldron could refine and devour anything. Moreover, as his cultivation continued to increase, the power of the Immortal refining cauldron would also become stronger and stronger. Whoosh! Stepping on the wind, Fei Ren turned into an afterimage and disappeared from his original spot. His speed was as fast as a phantom. If he used his traceless snow steps with all his strength, even a 4th-level Star Realm cultivator wouldn't be able to catch up with him. He was several times faster than when he had been chased by the mysterious masked man in the forest. In the depths of the ancient ruins, in front of a magnificent palace, there was already a crowd outside the palace. A large number of martial artists and rogue cultivators had gathered. The teams of the 3 major forces of Yi City were also present. There were even some rogue cultivators of the High Star Realm who lived in seclusion. As far as the eye could see, the entire palace was surrounded by scattered ruins. It seemed that many fierce battles had taken place here before. Quan Air, is there still no news from little brother Fei Ren? In front of the Chung family team, Chung Batian frowned slightly. At the same time, he looked at Chung Zhouquan beside him. No. Chung Zhouquan shook his head. His expression was awkward. Ever since they entered the ancient ruins, Fei Ren had been separated from the Chung family team because of the space formation. Moreover, there had been no trace of Fei Ren in the past few days. It was as if he had evaporated into thin air. With Brother Fei's strength, Devil Beast below the profound rank can't do anything to him. Moreover, the Yin family and the Golden Rainbow Escort Service haven't encountered him. This palace is located in the center of the ancient ruins. If nothing unexpected happens, he should have arrived here. After pausing for a moment, Chung Zhouquan spoke again. He seemed to be puzzled as well. Along the way, The Chung family team had encountered many martial artists and rogue cultivators who had come to explore. They had also killed many devil beasts. However, they still hadn't found any trace of Fei Run. Young master, could he have been buried in the stomach of a devil beast? At this time, a young guard at the 6th level of the Middle Union realm stepped forward and asked weakly. His tone was probing, as if he was afraid that Chung Zhoquan would be angry. Although Fei Ren had not stayed in the Chung mansion for long, anyone with a discerning eye knew that Chung Zhoquan admired Fei Ren very much. Moreover, Fei Ren had saved his life before. Naturally, he had some feelings for him. Absolutely impossible. Glaring fiercely at the young guard beside him, Chung Zhoquan's face was slightly angry. His tone also became stern. Ever since he had seen Fei Ren's powerful strength in the fog swamp, he did not believe that a few devil beasts could end Fei Ren's life. It should be known that he and Chung Lily were surrounded by more than 20 top yellow rank armor crocodiles. If not for Fei Ren's help, he would not be standing here today. Quan Er is right. Perhaps he had obtained some opportunities and is now hiding somewhere to cultivate. Just as he finished speaking, Chung Batian also nodded as if he agreed with the other's judgment. Family head, young master, what should we do now? Should we directly charge into the palace? Seeing this scene, the young guard did not say anything more. He then glanced at the huge palace not far away and cupped his hands to ask for instructions. After a few days of fighting, the Chung family's team did not suffer many losses. Other than a few injured guards, there were only 4 or 5 guards who died in battle. Among the guards who survived, there were still more than 20 who could fight. It was still a strong team. On the other hand, the Yun family and the Golden Rainbow Escort Service were also one of the 3 major forces of Yi City. The situation was similar. Each of them suffered some losses, but most of them died in the fierce battle with the devil beasts. After all, there was no warrior or rogue cultivator who dared to take the initiative to provoke the teams of the 3 major forces of Yi City. Didn't you guys notice that there was a fierce battle here? Moreover, there are still traces of origin power. This means that the palace is not simple. It is very likely that there is a big guy inside. Shaking his head, Chung Baishan's expression was calm in the face of the young guard's request. His tone was meaningful, as if he had also expected something. Father is right. The warriors who broke into the palace are all dead. Clenching his fist, Chung Zhoquan also concluded. As the young master of the Chung family, he naturally had the ability to discern things. Moreover, it was precisely because of the dangers in the ancient tomb that Chung Lily did not follow them. As the young lady of the Chung family, her origin power cultivation was only at the Middle Unity Stage 3rd level. Originally, Chung Lily wanted to come and see the world and join the fun. However, she was scared away by Chung Batian and Chung Zhoquan. In front of the palace, on the other side. That's strange. Why is that old fellow Guan Changhong so calm? This definitely isn't his style. Yin Xian's expression was calm. His pitch-black eyes revealed a hint of contemplation from time to time, as if he was secretly calculating something in his heart. His eldest son, Yin Teng, also stood quietly at the side. He was silent and seemed to be like the other Yin family guards behind him, quietly waiting for Yun Xian's instructions. Could it be that this old guy has already guessed that there is something in this palace? From the corner of his eye, Yun Xian glanced at the people of the Golden Rainbow Escort Service not far away. His eyes narrowed slightly, and the small mustache at the corner of his mouth curled up slightly. Chapter 129. Brother Chung, Brother Guan, we can't just stand here and do nothing. Why don't we send a few people in to test the waters? Seeing that the Chung family and the Golden Rainbow Escort Service had no intention of making a move, Yun Xian took the initiative to speak. He was the first to arrive at the palace with his team. However, he felt that the palace was a little strange and there were traces of battle everywhere, so he didn't rush in. It was obvious that there was something like a guardian in the palace, guarding the treasures within the palace. After all, the owner of the ancient tomb was an expert above the martial master realm. He wouldn't be so careless with the tomb and inheritance he left behind. The aura of origin energy that remained outside the hall earlier and the smell of blood in the air that hadn't vanished were strong proof that an intense battle had occurred here earlier. Otherwise, everyone present would have swarmed over long ago and charged into the hall to obtain the treasures instead of standing still. Looking around, many martial artists had already gathered around the palace. Other than the people from the three major forces, there were also many people from independent martial artists and small families. There were at least a few hundred of them. Moreover, there were still martial artists rushing towards the palace, as if there was an endless stream of them. Even if that's the case, I don't want my guards to die for nothing. Facing Yun Xian's suggestion, Chang Batian couldn't deny it. However, he shook his head lightly, as if he had already guessed the other party's plan. That's right. There might be many traps inside. None of the martial artists who went in before came out. Do you want us to be cannon fodder and your Yun family to reap the benefits? Guan Changhong snorted coldly as he stroked his long beard. His eyes suddenly widened as he said, unhappily. These two guys, seeing this, Yun Xian's expression was a little awkward. However, it quickly returned to normal. However, an undetectable killing intent flashed in his eyes. When I obtain the inheritance of the ancient tomb, I will definitely remove the Chung family and the Golden Rainbow escort service from Yi City. You two must be joking. Of course, I won't do that. I just hope that the three families can work together and take part in this grand undertaking. Grinning, Yun Xian's face was still full of smiles. Aren't the three major powers of Yi City going to make a move? What's so mysterious about this palace that the three powers of Yi City have stopped in their tracks? Could it be that there's a high-level magical beast guarding the treasure? Impossible. The aura of the demonic beast is very obvious. I feel that there might be some kind of mechanism or array set up in this palace. Wasn't there a 7-star origin array set up outside the ancient tomb? At this time, more and more cultivators gathered outside the palace. For a time, the atmosphere was heated and there was a lot of discussion. Although everyone's eyes were burning, coveting the treasures in the palace, no one dared to be the first to step forward and explore. The treasures and fortuitous encounters are inside. You people are actually not moving forward. What cowards! Just when everyone was in a stalemate, a blue-robed young man in the crowd suddenly shouted loudly. His tone was angry. Then, he jumped and rushed toward the palace not far away. It seemed that he couldn't wait any longer and intended to make the first move to gain the upper hand. He didn't care about the risk. Someone is making a move. For a time, countless gazes looked towards the direction of the blue-robed young man. Shua. The blue-robed young man was very fast. After a few steps, he rushed into the palace and disappeared. Was it my imagination? Seeing the blue-robed young man safely rushing into the palace, Yun Xian frowned and looked surprised. Bang! Just as everyone was bewildered and ready to make a move, a huge explosion came from the palace. In the next moment, the blue-robed young man from before flew backwards from the palace, vomiting blood nonstop. In the end, he fell heavily to the ground. His entire chest caved in deeply, and it was obvious that he had completely lost his breath. One hit, instant kill. Dead. Seeing this scene, everyone was greatly shocked. The blue-robed youth's cultivation was at the 9th level of the Middle Union stage. Although his strength was not very strong, it was not weak either. However, he was instantly killed by a single strike, without the slightest ability to resist. There is indeed something in the palace. Clenching his fist, Yun Xian found that his judgment was not wrong. A trace of seriousness appeared on his face. The other party could easily kill a 9th-level Middle Union realm martial artist, which meant that he was not weak. His cultivation was at least at the high level of the Star Realm. However, for some reason, the big guy guarding the treasure inside the palace seemed to be unable to get out. Otherwise, except for Yun Xian, Chang Batian, and Guan Changhong, most of the people present would be in serious trouble. The guy inside is at least at the high level of the Star Realm. Only the three of us can fight against him. If the three of us can't step into the palace, no matter how many martial artists we send, we will only be sending ourselves to death. Yin Xian turned to look at Cheng Batian and Guan Changhong on the other side and shouted. Most of the people present were Middle Union Realm martial artists. Only one or two were high-level Star Realm loose cultivators. However, they were not as strong as Cheng Batian and Guan Changhong. Yin Xian naturally looked down on them. In his mind, only Cheng Batian and Guan Changhong were qualified to be his opponents. Cheng Batian, let's attack together. Guan Changhong also glanced at the palace not far away. His expression was grave. Clearly, he agreed with Yin Xian's judgment. The current situation could only be solved by the three of them working together. Otherwise, they could only stand outside the palace and watch helplessly. Very good. This Cheng also wants to see what kind of monsters are in this palace. With a long laugh, Cheng Batian also leaped towards the palace on the opposite side. Yuan power continued to surge out from all over his body. Then, a sharp blade condensed in his palm. Its power was comparable to a grade 2 soul treasure. After a martial artist broke through to the high level of the Star Realm, he could grasp the ability to transform his origin power. He could use his origin power to condense all kinds of weapons. It was not inferior to some low-level spirit treasures. This was the difference between a high-level Star Realm martial artist and a Middle Union Realm martial artist. At the same time, a strange pitch-black figure suddenly appeared high up in the sky. At this moment, his gaze was quietly looking at the people around the palace on the ground below. His eyes were cold and emotionless. A group of ants. How can you covet the opportunity left by that lord? The corner of his mouth rose slightly. The strange figure's entire body was covered by a black cloak. His face was also covered by a strange ghost mask, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. It was the mysterious masked man who had chased Fei Run for a long time. Fight kill. In the end, the opportunity left by that lord will only belong to me, Shun Kong. Thinking of this, the mysterious masked man withdrew his gaze. He looked up to the sky and laughed. His eyes flashed with madness, as if everything was under his control. On the other side, Fei Run, who did not go to the depths of the ancient ruins to fight for the opportunity, did not stop. Instead, he hid in a remote cave and cultivated silently. He wanted to break through to the 10th level of the Middle Union Realm. Just a little more. In the cave, Fei Rin's face was flushed. At this moment, the black tortoise longevity scripture was also activated to the extreme. After devouring dozens of yellow-ranked demon cores, the origin power in his body continued to rise. However, he was still one step away from breaking through the bottleneck of the realm. Breakthrough. Without hesitation, Fei Rin took out the demon core of the black feathered vulture that he had obtained that day from the spirit ring. In the next moment, he summoned the Immortal refining cauldron. Then he absorbed the demon core of the black feathered vulture and turned it into balls of pure energy. He began to break through the final bottleneck of the realm. Boom! After an unknown period of time, a tremor came from his dantian. In the next moment, Fei Rin's eyes flashed, and he suddenly stood up. 10th level of the Middle Union Realm. Feeling the explosive origin power in his body, Fei Rin's face was filled with joy. After a few days of silent seclusion, he finally broke through to the 10th level of the Middle Union Realm. His strength had increased greatly again. The fist instantly left a deep pit when it landed on the ground. Bricks and tiles immediately flew in all directions. Even the sturdy limestone floor of the hall was shattered into pieces. What a powerful stone statue! Is it the guardian of this hall? No wonder all the martial artists who entered died. Cheng Batian had a serious look on his face as he barely dodged the giant stone statue's attack. The giant stone statue in front of him was as powerful as a human warrior of the 4th level of the Star Realm. It was extremely powerful. If it weren't for the fact that they had experienced hundreds of battles and reacted quickly, they would have been smashed into meat paste by the giant stone statue. Die! Another hollow voice sounded. Seeing Yun Xian and the others dodge the attack, the huge stone statue didn't stop attacking. Instead, it rushed toward the three of them. It waved its stone fists fiercely. Although it didn't use any martial arts, its power was far greater than ordinary martial arts. Bastard! Yun Xian's face turned slightly angry when he saw the huge stone statue attacking again. It seemed that he was a little unhappy about being chased and beaten up. He immediately leaped and dodged the punch. Then, his figure strangely appeared behind the stone statue's back. Then, he suddenly launched a heavy palm attack. Boom! Lightning snakes shot out from Yun Xian's palm and wrapped around the huge stone statue's back and limbs. In the next moment, they exploded. The huge stone statue, which was originally unstoppable, paused for a moment. It seemed to have been forced back by Yun Xian's attack. Although Yun Xian's cultivation was only at the second-level star realm, he had already comprehended a trace of the thunder concept. He wasn't weak. Moreover, the huge stone statue in front of them only had brute force. It didn't have the intelligence of a human martial artist. It wouldn't be easy for it to kill Yun Xian and the others quickly. Although this thing is powerful, it doesn't have any intelligence. It only knows how to stop us from entering the hall. It's probably a puppet mechanism powered by some kind of origin power. As long as we keep fighting, it will fall sooner or later. After a few exchanges, Cheng Batian and Guan Changhong also discovered the weakness of the huge stone statue in front of them. They were deep in thought. Stop talking nonsense. Let's attack together and get rid of it. Yun Xian snorted softly. He seemed to be getting braver as the battle went on. He actually took the lead and charged out. At the same time, he shifted his body a few times and dodged the huge stone statue's attacks. Then he slammed his palm on the huge stone statue's left leg. The lightning snakes immediately exploded, and the left leg was forcefully crippled. It turned into a pile of shattered rocks. Yun Xian, that old bastard, has become much stronger again. Not far away, Cheng Baishan's expression turned serious when he saw Yun Xian's imposing aura. In the next moment, he also charged out. Although the Yun family and the Cheng family were competitors, the treasures in the hall were more important. If they didn't get rid of this huge stone statue, they wouldn't be able to obtain the treasures. Hence, it wasn't the time to shed all pretense of cordiality. Boom! The left leg was shattered by Yun Xian's palm strike. However, the huge stone statue didn't fall as it wished. Instead, it raised its palms to defend itself. It slammed them together, intending to smash Yun Xian into meat paste. Damn it! Faced with the sudden attack, Yun Xian's expression changed drastically. Now that he was alone in front of the huge stone statue, there was no way he could dodge the huge stone statue's counterattack at such a close distance. 1,000 trees and 1,000 blossoms. Just as Yun Xian was about to be hit, Guan Changhong beside him also shouted loudly. His origin power surged in all directions. Then he released countless green vines and roots. They instantly bound the huge stone statue's 4 limbs up and down. They were like deadly restraints, immobilizing it for a moment. Yun Xian, this old man, saved your life. With a sneer, Guan Changhong glanced at Yun Xian, who was still in shock. The wrinkles on his old face were twisted into a bunch of chrysanthemums. His tone was playful. Old man Guan, even if you didn't attack, I wouldn't have died. But you're really something. Faced with Guan Changhong's mockery, Yun Xian grinned coldly. Strands of origin power surged out of his body again. He seemed to be at his peak state. Although Yun Xian is powerful, Cheng Batian and I can still deal with him if we work together. Right now, we still need the power of the Yun family. I wonder if there are any other traps in the hall. Guan Changhong thought to himself. He narrowed his eyes slightly. What the other party said was true. Even if he didn't help, Yun Xian wouldn't have been killed by the huge stone statue. At most, he would have suffered some light injuries. After all, they were all high-star realm martial artists. After martial artists broke through to the high-star realm, their origin power and physical fitness would be greatly improved. They wouldn't die so easily unless they encountered an unstoppable opponent. Chapter 131. At the same time, outside the palace. Young master, the family head has been in there for so long. Is he okay? A bodyguard suddenly stepped forward and whispered to Cheng Zhouquan. His tone was surprised and doubtful. Although Yun Xian and the others were high-star realm warriors, the guards in the palace were not to be trifled with. After all, the scene of the blue-robed young man being killed in one move was still vivid in the minds of the Cheng family members. They did not dare to be careless. All of you attack. Support the family head. Cheng Zhouquan clenched his fists. After hesitating for a while, he finally gave the order. Then, he took the lead and rushed toward the palace not far away. Obviously, he wanted to support Cheng Batian. Is Cheng Zhouquan not afraid of death? Not far away, Yin Teng and Guan Suo were stunned when they saw Cheng Zhouquan leading the team into the palace. The two of them also knew that the palace was filled with dangers and hidden traps. The cultivators who had died here before were strong proof of this. However, once someone took the lead and faced the temptation of such a huge opportunity, death or otherwise became a trivial matter. As the saying goes, humans die for wealth and birds die for food. The Cheng family went in. In that case, what are we afraid of? Everyone can get the opportunity. There are so many of us here. Are we going to be stopped and die here? Seeing the Cheng family rushing into the palace, the surrounding warriors and rogue cultivators were also ready to move. The next moment, they swarmed toward the palace not far away. The atmosphere was hot and crazy. They were like hungry tigers pouncing on their prey. No one could stop them. It was chaotic. These bastards, go in and grab the opportunity. Kill anyone who dares to stop you. Seeing the surrounding loose cultivators rushing towards the palace as if they did not care about their lives, Guan Suo clenched his teeth and shouted out loud. As the young master of the Golden Rainbow Escort Agency, the people of the Golden Rainbow Escort Agency had also put in a lot of effort in this trip to the ancient tomb. Naturally, they could not just stand there and let these loose cultivators snatch away the opportunity. Swoosh! Swish! With a flash, Guan Suo also rushed toward the palace. His speed was extremely fast. In an instant, he was in front of the crowd, after which, his figure disappeared into the palace. It's the young master of the Golden Rainbow Escort Service, Guan Suo. This brat's movement speed is unparalleled, and he is known as the Little Divine Leg. It seems like it's true. Let's go. If we're late, we might have nothing to do with it. Seeing Guan Suo take the lead and rush into the hall, the other martial artists and loose cultivators were also surprised. The reason why the people of the three major forces didn't attack these loose cultivators was mainly because there were many loose cultivators and they were useful. However, the ancient tomb's opportunity had appeared this time. In order to compete for the opportunity, the people of the three major forces were bound to fight to the death. At that time, the cultivators and loose cultivators present would not be able to escape this calamity. They would also be involved in it. In the end, only a few people would be able to survive and obtain the opportunity. Guards of the Yun family, listen up. Support the patriarch. There must be no mistakes. Seeing this scene, Yun Ting no longer hesitated. He also waved his hand and led the many guards of the Yun family to rush in. As the leader of the three major forces in Yi City and the young master of the Yun family, Yun Teng's strength and cultivation were not only the best in the area, but he was also a meticulous person. He had never done anything that he wasn't confident in. If it weren't for the fact that the cultivators and loose cultivators were opening a path for him, he wouldn't have acted rashly. Instead, he would have waited for the right opportunity. At the same time, the mysterious masked man was still hovering in the air thousands of feet above the ground. His eyes were cold and emotionless, as if he was waiting for some kind of opportunity. What a perfect chess game. Normally, where would I find so many chess pieces? Looking at the chaotic situation on the ground below, the mysterious masked man grinned coldly and said in a mocking tone, "Boom!" Just as the crowd swarmed into the hall, the huge stone statue that had been fighting fiercely with Yun Xian and the others fell to the ground with a loud bang. It seemed to have lost all its strength. Its originally indestructible limbs had shattered into a pile of rocks and powder. It had completely lost its ability to fight. On the other hand, Yun Xian and the others were fine, except for Yun Xian and Cheng Batian, who had suffered some light injuries. They still had some strength left. So the thing that stopped us from entering the hall was just a pile of broken rocks. At this moment, someone in the hall also noticed the existence of a huge stone statue and exclaimed in a low voice, "That's not right. This thing seems to be a puppet that's powered by primordial stones. This method isn't something that an ordinary cultivator can use." From this, it can be seen that the owner of this ancient tomb must have been a powerful existence when he was alive. As soon as he finished speaking, someone in the crowd refuted. The person who spoke was a black-clothed man with a grave and stern face. The black-clothed man's eyes were filled with a sharp look. Shockingly, he was also a veteran expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. His cultivation of origin power had already reached half a step into the high star realm. At this moment, as more and more martial warriors poured into the palace, the atmosphere gradually became more and more anxious. I'm afraid the two of you are not as good as an old man like me. To think that you would be injured when dealing with a mere stone statue puppet that relies on primordial stones. After knocking down the huge stone statue, Guan Changhong pulled back, the green wooden cane in his hand firmly supporting himself on the ground, and laughed strangely, as if he was secretly happy to see Yun Xian and Cheng Batian being injured. "It's just a superficial wound. It's not worth mentioning." Facing Guan Changhong's ridicule, Cheng Batian only snorted coldly, not thinking much of it. Although he had spent a lot of effort in this battle, he still had 70 to 80% of his primordial power, and he had only suffered some superficial wounds on his body. With the recovery ability of high-star realm martial warriors, he would be completely healed in less than a quarter of an hour, so he did not take Guan Changhong's ridicule to heart. "It's useless to say more. I'm afraid there are other dangers in this palace. There's more than one stone statue puppet." Yun Xian's expression was calm as he spoke faintly. Compared to Guan Changhong, who was harassing them from behind, he and Cheng Batian were the main attacking force, so it was not strange for them to suffer some superficial wounds from the impact of the huge stone statue's attack. Fortunately, the huge stone statue was not very intelligent, so knocking it down did not consume much of their primordial power. Although this huge stone statue had the strength of a high-star realm martial warrior, it did not have any intelligence, and only knew how to attack blindly. In the end, it was no match for a real human martial warrior. If the one in front of the three of them was a real high-star realm martial warrior, even if Yun Xian and the others worked together, they would be no match for it, and could only retreat in panic. "Look!" At this moment, a low cry came from the crowd. Everyone looked over and saw that there were 5 stone doors in the palace, as if each door led to a certain place, and the huge stone statue from before was responsible for guarding these 5 stone doors. 5 stone doors. Where's the opportunity of the tomb owner? With a thoughtful expression, Yun Xian narrowed his eyes slightly. As the head of the Yun family, although he seemed to be a peacemaker on the surface and had a good relationship with the Golden Rainbow Escort Service and the Cheng family, he was actually very ambitious. He had long wanted to dominate Yi City and look down on everyone. Yun Xian's ultimate goal was to make the Yun family a 9th-rank force, making it as famous as the 3-9 ranks of the great families of the Dacha dynasty. Therefore, he had coveted the inheritance of the tomb owner for a long time, and he was determined to obtain it. Chapter 132. Father, there are 5 stone doors in here. What do you think the tomb owner's inheritance is? On the side, Cheng Zhouquan, who had also discovered the mysterious stone door in the center of the palace, also spoke in a cautious tone. After the chaotic and fierce battle in the palace, the Cheng family guards under his command had also suffered varying degrees of injuries. Although most of them still had the ability to fight, they had consumed a lot of their yuanli. Moreover, he could not guarantee that there were no more dangerous mechanisms or powerful guardians behind the mysterious stone doors. The opportunity is right in front of us. Let's go in. Without the slightest hesitation, Chung Batian was decisive. In the next moment, he leaped and flew toward the leftmost stone door. As one of the famous high-star realm experts in Yi City, Chung Batian was not as cautious and suspicious as Guan Changhong and Yun Xian. Instead, he was bold and careful, decisive and brave. Therefore, he had left behind the title of Reckless Chung in the outside world. However, this reckless man was not as reckless as the others. All of Chung Batian's recklessness was based on his powerful strength. If he did not have this strength, he would only be courting death in vain. Bang! Chung Batian smashed the obstruction of the stone door with his palm. Then, his figure disappeared into it. Follow him. Seeing this scene, Chung Zhouquan had nothing to say. He also flew into the stone door and followed closely behind Chung Batian's footsteps. The Chung family guards behind him also did the same and rushed into the stone door. The Chung family has moved. The opportunity must be behind those 5 stone doors. Seeing Chung Batian and the others take the lead to enter the leftmost stone door, some of the martial artists and rogue cultivators in the hall looked at each other and discussed for a while. Some of them were even ready to move and seemed to want to seize the treasure as well. None of the people present were fools. Everyone knew that this hall was full of dangers. Moreover, the surrounding martial artists and rogue cultivators were also treacherous. They had to be on guard against sneak attacks at all times, so no one dared to take the lead. However, now that Chung Batian and the others had taken the lead, the cultivators in the hall naturally could not suppress the greed in their hearts. Dad, what should we do? Should we follow the Chung family? In front of the team of the Golden Rainbow Escort Service, Guan Sua's eyes were burning with passion. He also coveted the inheritance of the tomb owner. Right now, he was only at the 8th stage of the Middle Union realm. If he obtained the inheritance of the ancient tomb's master, he wouldn't dare to say that he would be able to step into the martial master realm in the future. However, he would at least be able to become a high-star realm expert. He might even have a chance to break through the 5th stage of the high-star realm and be bestowed the title of king. In the Dacha dynasty, every expert who claimed the title of king was at least at the 5th stage of the high-star realm. For example, the famous King Jin, Chu Wan, was a martial artist at the 8th stage of the high-star realm. Moreover, his talent was extraordinary, and his reputation and strength were second only to the emperor, Chu Tianyang. No need. A mountain cannot have 2 tigers. Let's go to the other stone doors. If we can obtain the inheritance of the ancient tomb's master, it won't be too late to go back and deal with Chung Batian and Yun Xian. Guan Changhong shook his head and stroked his long beard. A trace of cunning appeared on his wrinkled old face. The Yun family and the Chung family are nothing. I want the world to understand that the Golden Rainbow Escort Service is the only dominating force in Yi City. If I obtain the inheritance of the ancient tomb's master, even the Steel Corps will have to bow down to me. As if he had already predicted that he would have the last laugh, Guan Changhong's expression was fierce and his smile was strange. In the next moment, he jumped and rushed toward the mysterious stone door in the middle. He seemed to be deliberately avoiding the Chung family and the Yun family. Chang Qingshan, just you wait. Seeing Guan Changhong's figure disappear into the stone door, Guan Su secretly clenched his fists. Then, he glanced at the Steel Corps not far from the hall. Previously, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service and the Steel Corps had a fierce conflict over a few large boxes of low-grade primordial stones. However, in the end, it didn't get anything. The Golden Rainbow Escort Service even lost a few escorts because of this. Facing this old grudge, Guan Su naturally couldn't suppress his anger and hid it deep in his heart. If it weren't for the fact that the other party had the support of the Imperial Court and that the leader of the Steel Corps, Chang Qingshan, was also strong, he would have killed them all and left no one alive. Let's go. Guan Sua's gaze flashed past Chang Qingshan's body. In the next moment, he also gave the order and flew into the stone door at the same time. Deputy Commander, the people of the Golden Rainbow Escort Service don't seem to be convinced. At this moment, Guan Sua's angry gaze seemed to have been noticed by a silver-armored soldier. He stepped forward and then whispered in Guan Sua's ear. He also looked at Chang Shan with a questioning gaze. A bunch of weak martial artists. We were born in the Imperial Court's army and have experienced hundreds of battles. Why should we be afraid of them? Facing his subordinate's warning, Chang Shan crossed his arms in front of his chest and didn't take it seriously. Although the people of the Golden Rainbow Escort Service aren't very strong, that old man, Guan Changhong's cultivation, is at the first level of the Star Realm. His son Guan Suo isn't weak either. It's not a good time to fall out with them. Tell our brothers to enter the stone door on the far right. Chang Shan's expression gradually turned serious as he gave the order. The soldiers under his command were all brave warriors of the Steel Corps. If they suffered heavy losses in this trip to the ancient tomb, even if he was the deputy commander, he wouldn't be able to escape the blame. Therefore, Chang Shan had to avoid fighting with the three forces of Yi City before he saw the true inheritance of the ancient tomb's owner. The Steel Corps had tens of thousands of soldiers and was one of the Imperial Court's armies under the direct command of Emperor Chu Tianyang. In the Dachu dynasty, only the Steel Corps under the command of King Jin, Chu I, could be compared to it. These two corps were also the elite forces of the Dacha dynasty. However, the former was responsible for guarding the capital and the provinces, while the latter was responsible for guarding the border. Their objectives and targets were different. This time, the soldiers Chang Shan brought with him were only the tip of the iceberg. There were only about 20 of them, and they were acting alone. This was also the reason why he didn't directly fight with the three forces of Yi City. Father, the Steel Corps has also left. Should we? After Chang Shan and the others left, the people of the Yun family couldn't stay calm anymore. Yin Tung raised his head and looked at Yun Xian, trying to sound him out. Although he was the #1 genius of the Yun family, and his strength was the best among the younger generation in Yi City, he was still much weaker than Yun Xian. After all, Yin Tung was the head of the Yun family, an experienced Star Realm expert in Yi City. Everyone in the Yun family had to listen to Yun Xian's orders. It had always been like this. Let's go. Hearing Yin Tung's request, Yun Xian, who hadn't said anything for a long time, nodded slightly. Then, he flew toward another mysterious stone door. Obviously, he was trying to avoid the Chung family, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service, and the Steel Corps. However, Yun Xian had a feeling that these 5 stone doors would all lead to the same place. Kill. Go. The opportunity is inside. Those who stand in my way will die. Just as the three forces of Yi City and the Steel Corps were about to leave, the martial artists and rogue cultivators who had stayed in the main hall were in an uproar. They all rushed toward the 5 mysterious stone doors in the middle of the main hall like mad dogs. A large amount of primordial chi surged and intertwined with each other. The scene was very shocking. However, the entrance of the stone doors was very small. It could only allow dozens of people to pass through at the same time. There were more than 1,000 martial artists and rogue cultivators in the main hall. In order to gain the upper hand, a chaotic battle broke out from time to time. Some of the martial artists and rogue cultivators successfully made it through the stone doors, but some of the weaker ones died tragically in the chaotic battle. For a moment, the entire hall was filled with blood. Chapter 133. Ha ha ha. There's indeed an opportunity. Amidst the chaotic battle, a middle union stage 8 rogue cultivator luckily passed through the stone door. His eyes widened as he entered the stone door. There were treasures everywhere. Inside the stone door was an extremely spacious secret chamber. Vitality stones and pills were everywhere as far as the eye could see. At the moment, they were piled up like a mountain. There were even some medicinal herbs at the edge that had rotted due to age. It could be called a treasure trove. These are low-grade vitality stones and mid-grade vitality stones. Their eyes were burning. Subsequently, a few rogue cultivators rushed out of the stone door and entered the secret chamber. Their eyes were filled with greed and passion. There were at least hundreds of thousands of vitality stones piled up in the secret chamber. Moreover, there were countless medicinal herbs and pills everywhere. Among them, There was no lack of third or fourth grade pills. There were also many yellow grade monster cores. They seemed to have been accumulated by the tomb's owner when he was alive. Moreover, this was only one of the secret chambers among the 5 stone doors. Adding the opportunities and treasures in the other 4 stone doors, such a huge amount of wealth was enough to show how powerful the tomb's owner was when he was alive. "These are mine. Don't snatch them." In the blink of an eye, a young man with a scar on his face also flew towards the treasures in the secret room and then began to loot wantonly. He put all the primordial stones and other treasures in his line of sight into his spirit ring, which made the other warriors very angry. "Bastard, stop it. The treasures and vitality stones are mine." "Bastard, die." Just as the young man with the scar on his face was about to snatch the treasures, several rogue cultivators beside him cursed angrily. They then circulated their vitality to block him. In an instant, several vitality attacks landed on the young man with a scar. Finally, they heavily bombarded his body, causing blood to splatter everywhere. This youth with a scar on his face was only at the 6th stage of the Middle Union stage. Naturally, he was no match for so many people. He immediately let out a blood-curdling scream and fell to the ground. His eyes were completely white. He was already deader than dead. "Snatch them. Kill. 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 Those who block me will die." After the scar-faced young man died, the chaotic battle did not stop. His spirit ring was taken away by another Middle Union realm 8th stage loose cultivator. At the same time, some other forces and loose cultivators began to fight for the treasures in the secret chamber. For a period of time, the chaotic battle did not stop. From time to time, there would be people splashing blood on the ground, turning into corpses. Who dares to stop me? In the chaotic battle, a middle-aged man in a black robe stretched out both his palms and blasted out 2 black palm forces. The palm forces were entwined with a roaring wolf. In an instant, several rogue cultivators around him were strangled and turned into a pool of blood and flesh. Not even a corpse was left behind. "It's Yuan Benshu. Damn it. He's the president of the Blue Flower Association, a second-rate force in Yi City. His strength is at the 10th level of the Middle Unity boundary. We're no match for him." Under the deterrence of the black-robed, middle-aged man's attack, the intense chaotic battle in the secret room calmed down a little. Other than the martial artists who had already died, a portion of the surviving martial artists retreated to the side of the door of the secret room. Their faces were alert, as if they knew that the strength of the person who had come was not ordinary. A bunch of trash. Seeing that everyone had retreated, the black-robed, middle-aged man revealed a grim smile. Then, he waved his sleeve lightly and circulated his yuan power to store the remaining treasures in the secret room into his spirit ring. There were countless origin stones and elixirs. As for the people around him, they only dared to watch, as if they were angry but did not dare to say anything. The black-robed middle-aged man was called Yuan Benshu. He was considered a somewhat famous veteran expert in the vicinity of Yi City. His yuan power cultivation had reached the 10th level of the Middle Unity boundary. He had also personally founded the second-rate force, the Blue Flower Association. Even Yun Tung, Guan Suo, Chung Zhouquan, and other young geniuses in Yi City would give him some face. Moreover, there were no people from the 3 major forces in Yi City in the secret room, nor were there any troops from the Steel Corps. Therefore, Yuan Benshu was even more unscrupulous. Among the survivors, the highest cultivation was only at the 9th level of the Middle Unity boundary. Even if they joined forces, they might not be able to defeat him. With these treasures, I will have a chance to break through the shackles of my cultivation and step into the High Star realm. Then, I will be as famous as Yun Xian and the others. At this moment, most of the treasures in the secret room had been plundered. Yuan Benshu had occupied about 70 to 80% of them. As for the remaining treasures, they were divided among the martial artists and rogue cultivators. The secret room's origin stones, elixirs, herbs, and monster cores were completely emptied in less than an hour. It was as if a locust had passed through. "Look, there's a passage." At this moment, there was a low cry from the crowd. They saw that there was another passage entrance in the secret room. The mountain of origin stones and elixirs seemed to have blocked it, and it was only now that it was finally exposed. What? Hearing the voice, Yuan Binshu's face was slightly suspicious. Previously, everyone was only focused on killing and robbing, so they did not notice that there was a passage in the secret room. Could it be that it leads to other secret rooms, and there are opportunities inside? Thinking of this, Yuan Binshu's eyes could not help but widen. His expression was fiery. Although he had plundered a large amount of origin stones, herbs, and treasures, a person's greed was endless. It was very obvious that he was not satisfied. At this moment, after a chaotic battle, there were still many martial artists alive in this secret room. However, compared to before in the main hall, there were much fewer. There were less than 50 people left, and most of them had a cultivation base of 7th-stage Middle Union realm and above. In other words, martial artists with weak cultivation bases had long been killed in the previous chaotic battle and became corpses. Those who were left were not weak and ruthless characters. Kill. Almost instantly, in order to seize the opportunity to enter the passage first, a fierce chaotic battle instantly broke out. Even Yuan Binshu was not spared. He was very honored to be besieged by 4 9th-stage Middle Union realm martial artists at the same time. Although he was not defeated, it was difficult for him to escape. At the same time, in the secret rooms behind the other 4 stone doors, fierce battles were also in full swing. There were countless casualties. Among them, the Yun family, the Chung family, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service, and the Steel Corps had the upper hand and snatched most of the treasures and wealth. As for Fei Run, he was still on his way. Swoosh! Outside the main hall, a gray figure slowly landed. There are traces of an intense battle here, and there are still origin power auras that have yet to disappear. It seems that the battle has already started inside. Fei Run had a thoughtful expression. Then, he circulated his origin power and spread it out in all directions of the main hall. At the same time, he began to investigate. The opportunities are all mine. After a few breaths, Fei Run retracted his origin power investigation. His expression was fierce. Then, he leaped into the hall and disappeared. In another secret room, the fierce battle was still ongoing. The Chung family was besieged by a large group of rogue martial artists. The leader, Chung Batian, had a furious expression. Bang! Rumble! With a palm strike, Chung Baishan's expression was solemn. In an instant, he repelled 2 rogue martial artists who were besieging him. At the same time, blood splattered on the spot, and they had completely lost their combat strength. The dignity of the Chung family shall not be violated. With a thunderous voice, Chung Baishan's attack did not slow down. Once again, he charged to the front of a Middle Unity Stage 8 rogue martial artist. His left fist struck out heavily and penetrated the rogue martial artist's chest. Blood gushed out, and the rogue martial artist's body fell limply to the ground, completely devoid of any signs of life. After Chung Batian killed dozens of people, the surrounding martial artists and rogue martial artists finally stopped their attacks. The madness in their eyes gradually receded. They seemed to have calmed down slightly and no longer took the initiative to send themselves to their deaths. This bunch of trash. Looking around, Chung Batian was fuming with anger. His face was vaguely filled with anger. There were countless treasures in the secret room. As one of the 3 major forces in Yi City, the Chung family had the strongest foundation. Naturally, they became the target of public criticism. At one point, they were besieged by countless rogue martial artists. Fortunately, Chung Baishan's strength was the best among the crowd. He could take on dozens of people by himself, and that was how he managed to repel the attacks of the crowd. Chapter 134. Men die for wealth, and birds die for food. Although the Chung family was one of the 3 major forces in Yi City, and ordinary martial artists did not dare to provoke them, they had taken most of the treasures in the secret chamber. Therefore, The surrounding martial artists were envious and attacked the Chung family together. If it were not for Chung Baishan's valiant strength, Chung Zhoquan and the Chung clan's bodyguards would not have been able to resist the siege of these loose cultivators. Among these loose cultivators, there was no lack of experts at the 10th stage of the Middle Union boundary or even half a step into the High Star realm. Once they joined forces, they would be a formidable fighting force. Chung family head, your Chung family has taken most of the origin stones in this secret chamber. Isn't this a wasted trip for us? How can your Chung family convince the others? Although the fighting stopped temporarily, the smell of gunpowder in the air did not subside. A white-haired old man who was half a step into the High Star realm shouted coldly. He seemed to be a martial artist who had been attracted by the ancient tomb ruins. His strength was second only to Chung Baishan's. Treasures of opportunity belong to the strong. Chung Batian snorted coldly. He did not care about the white-haired old man's question. If you're not convinced, you can come and try. I am in charge of killing, not burying. During this trip to the ancient tomb ruins, the Chung family had been attacked and killed by many devil beasts. They had lost almost half of their men. Now that they had finally obtained a batch of treasures, Chung Batian would not let them go so easily. Moreover, there was no way he would spit out the meat that he had eaten. Chung Batian was confident that the surrounding martial artists would not dare to attack again unless they were not afraid of death. After all, as a High Star Realm martial artist, killing these middle and High Star Realm martial artists was more than enough. It would just consume more origin energy. Humph! Every dog has its day. Chung Batian, just wait and see. Seeing that Chung Batian was unwilling to compromise and was still aggressive, the white-haired elder gritted his teeth. Then, he turned around and left angrily, as if he had given up on fighting for the opportunity. Chung Batian is strong, and he has Chung Zhoquan and a group of trusted guards with him. Looks like I can't fight them head-on. Forget it. There should be other opportunities here. Let's go and take a look at other places. Let's go. Seeing this scene, the surrounding cultivators also knew that they were not interested, and then they retreated and left this secret room. After all, the scene of Chung Batian fighting against a group of cultivators and killing dozens of cultivators with his bare hands was still vivid in their minds. For a time, no one dared to be unlucky. Father, these fellows are indeed bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Seeing that the other martial artists and cultivators in the secret room had left, Chung Zhoquan secretly heaved a sigh of relief with a look of fear on his face. Although Chung Baishan's deterrence made it very easy to deal with these middle and high star realm martial artists and cultivators, their true opponents had yet to appear. If they wasted their origin energy here, they would definitely be at a disadvantage when they encountered the Yun family, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service, and the Iron and Steel Corps. Therefore, unless it was a last resort, Chung Zhoquan did not want to fight to the death with these desperados. Even if they won in the end, the Chung family's team would definitely suffer heavy losses and would not be able to fight for the inheritance left behind by the Tomb Master. Fortunately, although these people are desperados, they are still afraid of death. Quan Air, leave a few guards to take care of the injured. The rest of you, follow me. Although he had forced the group of rogue cultivators to retreat with a calm expression, Chung Batian did not show much joy on his face. Once again, he rushed toward the entrance of the secret room. The palace in front of him was not a secret room. Moreover, the secret rooms and the 5 stone doors seemed to be interconnected. They were heavily connected and seemed to lead to a more central area. Compared to the primordial stones, elixirs, and demon cores in the secret chamber, Chung Batian was more interested in the inheritance left behind by the owner of the tomb. Therefore, he naturally wouldn't leave hastily for such a small profit, just like the other cultivators outside. In one of the secret rooms in the palace, rolling origin energy could be seen rising from Fei Ren's palm. At this moment, he was lifting a burly man with a black face into the air. No matter how hard the burly man struggled, he could not break free from the shackles of Fei Ren's palm. He was like a merciless Azura with a cold expression. Big guy, where's that old fellow Yin Xian? You, I don't know. With a flushed face, The burly man with a black face did not comply with Fei Ren's interrogation. Instead, he secretly channeled his origin energy, intending to counterattack. "You're courting death." Noticing the burly man's small movements, Fei Ren's face immediately darkened. At the same time, he exerted force in his palm and instantly broke the burly man's neck, making a series of crackling sounds. Bang! With his neck broken, the burly man with a black face also went limp and fell to the ground. His eyes rolled back, and he completely stopped breathing. His origin energy cultivation was only at the 8th level of the Middle Union realm. It was not weak in the outside world, but in front of Fei Ren, he had no power to resist at all. He was like a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Now, Fei Ren could easily kill martial artists below the high star realm without any effort. Even Chung Batian and Guan Changhong, who were at the first level of the high star realm, were no match for him. They would be defeated within 10 moves. The current Fei Ren was no longer the Fei Ren of the past. His strength had soared by more than 5 times compared to half a month ago. Devil! At this time, there were still some rogue cultivators in the secret room. When they saw Fei Ren kill the burly man with a black face, they could not help but be shocked. They were stunned on the spot. For a moment, no one dared to move. Obviously, they were all shocked by Fei Ren's strength. Am I too late? Twisting his wrist, Fei Ren pondered. Most of the treasures and opportunities in this secret room had been plundered. As for the rogue cultivators in front of him, most of them were weak. Other than the dead burly man, the highest cultivation was only at the 6th level of the Middle Union realm. It was not worth mentioning. Moreover, these rogue cultivators were basically here to pick up the scraps. As for the truly powerful rogue cultivators, most of them had stepped into the depths of the palace with the people from the 3 major forces of Yi City. They would not stay in the periphery. Hero, the people from a Yun family are not here. They have already gone into the depths of the palace. This secret room is only the periphery. There are only 1 or 2 guard from the Yun family left here. The scene was as silent as death. Not long after, a freckled man at the 6th level of the Middle Union realm spoke in a trembling voice. His tone was weak, as if he was afraid that Fei Ren would kill him in anger again. After all, the scene of the burly man's tragic death was still vivid in everyone's mind. A guard from the Yun family? Hearing this, Fei Ren's face was slightly doubtful. He then looked at the freckled man. Yes, it's him. There's another person, but that person just died in a chaotic battle. In order to snatch a 3rd-grade medicinal ingredient, he was stabbed to death by a 7th-level Middle Union realm guy with 3 blades. Seeing Fei Ren's gaze looking at him, the freckled man's body trembled. Then, his finger trembled as he pointed at the corpse of the burly man with a black face beside him. He trembled in fear, and his tone became somewhat trembling. Oh, so that's how it is. Hearing this, Fei Ren's expression changed slightly. Then, the corner of his mouth revealed an inexplicable smile. At this moment, in his eyes, other than Yun Xian, who was a little threatening, the others were not worth mentioning. Chapter 135. Without stopping, Fei Ren raised his hand and collected the spirit ring left behind by the burly man on the ground. Then, he flew into the secret room. Compared to the small fries on the outside, the inside of the secret room was the center of the palace. It was the true location of the inheritance. Rustle, rustle, rustle. When they reached the end of the passage, they couldn't help but notice that the 5 mysterious stone doors were all gathered together. The 3 major forces of Yi City, as well as Chong Qingshan and the rest of the Steel Corps, had all gathered together. The atmosphere became interesting. Now, they were in the center of the palace. Not only was it much more spacious than the secret chamber, there were also many treasures of higher quality. Not far from them, there were 6 balls of white light floating in the air above the palace. Faintly, they emitted powerful yuanli. 6 balls of white light, 6 treasures. Yun Xian's eyes were burning. Beside him, Yun Teng couldn't stay calm either. If they could take all the treasures in the balls of white light, even if they didn't get the inheritance of the tomb's owner, their Yin family could still become the #1 force in Yi City. They could even become a rank 9 force. There was no other reason other than the treasures in the balls of white light were indeed extraordinary. 2 of the white balls of light contained medicinal pills. Even though the quality of the medicinal pills was unknown, but could be determined from the medicinal fragrance they faintly emitted, that they were surely not inferior to a 4th-grade medicinal pill. After all, the medicine king of the Darchu dynasty, Lin Feng, was only a 4th-grade alchemist, so it was obvious how precious a 4th-grade medicinal pill was. In addition to these 2 elixirs, the white light in the middle was a treasure armor. It was shining with an orange luster. It was a tier 4 spirit treasure with amazing defensive power. The white light on the far right was an exquisite jade box. The white light next to the exquisite jade box was a small black iron needle. It seemed to be a good hidden weapon spirit treasure. The treasures in the 5 white balls of light were all extraordinary. Only the last white ball of light was slightly ordinary. It was only a tattered bronze key, and there was a faint copper rust on it. It seemed to be very old, and it did not have any use. Treasure. This is the real inheritance left by the tomb's owner. This thought exploded in everyone's hearts at the same time, as if they could conquer the world if they obtained it. At this moment, in addition to the people from the 3 major forces of Yi City and the Steel Corps, there were also some powerful rogue cultivators. Among them, there was no lack of experts who were half a step into the middle and combined boundary. Obviously, they were also coveting the inheritance left behind by the master of the tomb, as well as the 6 white light balls in the center of the main hall. However, due to the reputation of the 3 major powers of Yi City and the Steel Corps, these independent cultivators who had barged into the center of the hall were very self-aware. Although they had met by chance, they all gathered together as if they were born to be in the same camp. Everyone, I didn't think that we would meet in the end, seeing the strange silence. Chang Qingshan raised his eyebrows and took the initiative to speak. At the same time, he broke the deadlock in the hall. As the deputy commander of the Steel Corps under the Imperial Court, Chang Qingshan was not only powerful, but also held an important position. Naturally, his words carried a lot of weight. Even the 3 major powers of Yi City had to give him some face. At least, they did not dare to offend him openly. Chang Qingshan, there are 6 white light balls, which means that there are only 6 treasures. Aren't you a member of the Imperial Court? If you make the decision, how do you plan to distribute them? Seeing Chang Qingshan take the initiative to speak, Yin Xian also grinned. His tone had a hidden meaning, as if he wanted to make Chang Qingshan the target of public criticism. After all, other than the people from the 3 major powers of Yi City, there were also some independent cultivators who were not weak. If the other party used the power of the Imperial Court to suppress them, it would definitely cause the cultivators present to be dissatisfied and resist. After all, the martial artists who could come to this hall were not weak. The weakest of them was at the 8th stage of the middle and combined boundary. No one was willing to leave empty-handed. My answer is very simple. Of course, Yin Xian could not hide his thoughts from Chang Qingshan. He smiled coldly and waved his hand. Soldiers, listen to my order. I'm going to take the treasures. No more, no less, no less. If anyone dares to stop me, kill them without mercy. As soon as he finished speaking, Chang Qingshan's body shot out and pointed at a white light ball in the center of the hall. In the middle of the light ball was the 4th-grade defensive treasure armor that was emitting an orange glow. It seemed that he already had a target in mind. This guy. Seeing this, Yin Xian's expression changed slightly. He then clenched his teeth. Although his cultivation was higher than Chang Qingshan's, Chang Qingshan was the deputy commander of the Steel Corps and had been through hundreds of battles. If they really fought, he would not have the upper hand. Pop! As soon as his hand touched the ball of white light, a warm current spread around Chang Qingshan's body, as if it was some kind of natural energy. It caused his stagnant cultivation base to rise a little bit, and he was one step closer to the 2nd level of the Star Realm. This is formed by dense origin power. Sensing the subtle changes in his body, Chang Qingshan was stunned for a moment. Then he was overjoyed. In this trip to the ancient tomb, not only did he obtain a 4th-grade defensive treasure armor, but his origin power cultivation, which had been stagnant for a long time, also had a breakthrough. Naturally, he was very excited. With the help of this 4th-grade defensive treasure armor, even if Chang Qingshan did not reach the 2nd stage of the Star Realm in the future, he would still have a chance to compete for the position of commander of the Steel Corps and become a 3rd-grade official of the Imperial Court. He would no longer be a deputy commander. Chang Qingshan made his move. Damn it. Now, there are only 5 treasures left in the white light ball. It was not easy for us to come here. Are we going to go back empty-handed? After seeing Chang Qingshan snatch one of the white light balls, the martial artists in the center of the hall were in an uproar. Everyone was ready to move, and their eyes were full of greed. Obviously, they all wanted a share of the loot. Although they were very dissatisfied with Chang Qingshan's actions, they did not dare to stop him because he was very powerful and had a group of guards. Also, only one of the 6 white light balls was gone, so the rest of the people still had a chance. Since the Steel Corps has made their move, the Chung family naturally can't fall behind. With a snort, Chung Batian did not hold back. He also flew toward one of the white light balls, intending to snatch a rare 4th-grade pill. I won't hold back either. You let me win. When they saw this scene, Yun Xian and Guan Changhong exchanged glances, and then they each took a white ball of light. Yun Xian took an exquisite jade box, and Guan Changhong took a dark iron needle that was similar to a concealed weapon spirit treasure. It could be said that they each took something. After a while, there were only 2 white light balls left in the center of the hall. The other 4 were taken by the 3 major forces of Yi City and the Steel Corps. They all seemed to have ulterior motives and tacitly agreed to only take one treasure. There were only 2 white light balls left. At this moment, the atmosphere in the hall suddenly became tense, and there was a dead silence. Chapter 136. Boom! In the blink of an eye, countless waves of origin power erupted from the center of the Great Hall. A group of rogue cultivators swarmed toward the 2 remaining white light orbs. For a time, the scene was chaotic, and there was no end to the killing. Get out of my way! In a chaotic battle, a young man with a hedgehog head had a distorted expression. Then he slammed his palm forward, instantly injuring a middle Unity Stage 8 rogue cultivator. Then, the rogue cultivator fell onto a stone pillar beside him, coughing up blood. The treasure is mine. His expression was wild with joy. However, before the young man with a hedgehog head could react, another person suddenly charged out and chopped off his head with a swing of his saber. For a time, blood gushed out, and a man with a hedgehog head died on the spot after letting out a scream. How dare trash lay their hands on the treasure? The person who attacked was also a rogue cultivator. However, his cultivation base was half a step into the high star realm, which was much higher than the young man with a hedgehog head. At this moment, his expression was ruthless. These people are crazy. At the side, when a soldier from the Steel Corps saw the Great Hall descending into chaos and killing, he swallowed his saliva secretly. His expression was complicated and shocked. Men die for wealth. Birds die for food. Chang Qingshan glanced at the soldier beside him. His tone was playful, but his expression was still calm. Father, are we just going to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight? In front of the Yin family, Yin Tung cupped his hands and spoke. In his opinion, although the martial artists present had decent cultivation bases, other than the Chung family, the Golden Rainbow Escort Service, and the Steel Corps, the rest were nothing but villagers. They were not worth mentioning. Deep down, he did not want to give up the 2 remaining white light orbs in the center of the Great Hall. If we break the balance first, we'll become a target for everyone. It won't be too late to make a move when these rogue cultivators are almost done fighting and both sides are injured. The shrewd Yin Xian did not agree with Yin Tang's suggestion. He merely waved his sleeve and said indifferently, as if he already had a plan in mind. At this moment, in the face of the chaotic battle in the Great Hall, other than the Yun family and the Steel Corps, the Chung family and the Golden Rainbow Escort Service did not interfere. Instead, they allowed these rogue cultivators to fight and snatch the treasure. Ha ha ha. The fourth-grade medicinal pill is mine. Amidst the chaotic battle, a white-haired old man who was half a step into the star realm emerged victorious. He broke through the encirclement and successfully seized a white ball of light. The treasure inside the ball of light was another fourth-grade medicinal pill. This fourth-grade spirit pill was crimson in color. The lines on the outside of the pill were clear, and the fragrance of the pill permeated the air. Its quality was not inferior to the fourth-grade spirit pill in Chung Baishan's hands. Obviously, it was also a rare and valuable spirit pill. At this time, there was only one ball of white light left in the center of the hall. Compared to the previous treasures, the thing inside was slightly dimmer. It was only a bronze key with a rusty exterior. Its value was the lowest. Damn it, this is the only thing left. In the crowd, Yuan Binshu's palms blasted out several wolf heads condensed from Yuan power, forcing the opponents around him to retreat. Then he snatched the bronze key from the last white ball of light. However, his expression was not very good at this moment. Compared to the treasures in the other 5 white balls of light, it was obvious that this bronze key was slightly more ordinary. It was unlikely to be of much use. Boom! At this moment, a loud rumble came from outside the hall. In the next moment, Fei Rin's figure rushed in. His face was ruddy, and it was obvious that his qi and blood were surging. I finally made it. Fei Rin let out a long breath and looked at the people in the hall at the same time. Brother Fei Rin. Seeing that Fei Rin had finally appeared, Chung Zhouquan's expression froze. Then it turned into joy. He had lost contact with Fei Rin for a long time. He thought that something bad had happened to him. Now, it seemed that he had been overthinking. 10-tier, middle unity realm. Where did this kid come from? At this moment, not only Chung Zhouquan, but Yin Tung and Guan Su also had solemn expressions. As the best of the younger generation in Yi City, Chung Zhouquan was an old acquaintance of theirs. However, they were unfamiliar with Fei Rin. Fei Rin was only 17 or 18 years old. However, his cultivation base had reached 10-tier middle unity realm, which was far superior to theirs. Yin Tung and Guan Su naturally did not dare to underestimate such a top-notch genius who had appeared out of nowhere. Little brother, may I ask which sect you're from? Seeing that Fei Rin had such an impressive cultivation base at such a young age, Yin Xian, who was not far away, subconsciously assumed that he was a disciple of a high-ranking sect. He immediately asked in a sincere tone, "Damn, they're all gone." Ignoring Yin Xian's probing, Fei Rin frowned when he realized that all the treasures in the hall had been taken. Then, he turned to look at Yuan Binshu, who was not far away, and curled his finger lightly. You brat, hand over the treasures in your hands. You." Seeing that Fei Rin was looking at him, Yuan Binshu was stunned. He did not expect that the other party would be eyeing the bronze key in his hands. After all, among the 6 treasure light clusters present, only the rusty bronze key in his hands was ordinary. It was the most ordinary. Don't you think you're going too far? As the leader of the second-rate Blue Flower Association in Yi City and a 10-tier middle unity realm martial artist, Yuan Binshu naturally would not hand over the bronze key in his hand so easily, even if Fei Rin had a strong aura and was charging at him menacingly. "You're courting death." Fei Rin snorted coldly. Seeing that Yuan Binshu was determined to resist, he immediately flew out and clawed at Yuan Binshu's face. His 5 fingers were closed together and bent. Billowing essence force was entwined on it, like a thunderous eagle claw. Although he had not broken through to the high star realm, this move actually had a trace of essence force in its embryonic form. It was very powerful. Facing Fei Rin's violent attack, Yuan Binshu could not dodge for a moment. Half of his face was clawed off by Fei Rin's essence force sharp claws. For a moment, his flesh was badly mangled. He let out a shrill scream and then fell to the ground unwillingly. Bang! After Yuan Binshu fell to the ground, Fei Rin did not stop attacking. Instead, he stomped heavily on Yuan Binshu's chest, instantly crushing him on the spot. Blood splattered everywhere. Yuan Binshu was completely dead and did not have any strength to resist. 10-tier, middle unity realm. One hit kill. Seeing the powerful strength displayed by Fei Run, everyone in the hall was completely stunned. The surroundings were silent. What kind of monster is this guy? Yin Tong was shocked. As the leader of the younger generation in Yi City, even he could not kill a 10-tier middle unity realm martial artist in one hit. Moreover, his opponent was the leader of the second-rate Blue Flower Association. This plaything should be useful. After Yuan Binshu's tragic death, Farron also kept the bronze key into his spirit ring. He had a feeling that compared to the other treasures in the hall, the rusty bronze key in his hand was much more valuable, and it would be of great use. Chapter 137. How dare this guy ignore me? Yin Xian's expression changed slightly when he saw Fei Ren ignore him and kill Yuan Binshu. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. As the head of the Yun family, one of the most powerful and influential figures in Yi City, Cheng Batian and Guan Changhong could only flaunt their glib tongues in front of him. They didn't dare to fight with him. Being looked down upon by a nobody and losing face, Yun Xian was naturally furious. Father, this guy is too arrogant. Why don't we all come out and finish him off? We can take the treasure while we're at it. At this moment, Yin Ting's expression was also ugly. His tone was also filled with anger. He couldn't help but look at Fei Ren with jealousy. Not only was Fei Ren young, but he was also stronger than him. He was undoubtedly a strong competitor. This guy is finished. He actually angered the head of the Yun family. Yun Xian is a martial artist at the second level of the Star Realm. Other than Cheng Batian and the others, no one could defeat him. Serves him right. He's so arrogant just because he has some origin power cultivation. This guy deserves to die. That Yuan Binshu from the Blue Flower Association is also unlucky. He's the head of a second-rate force, and he finally got a treasure. In the end, he died at the hands of a nobody. What a shame. The atmosphere in the hall gradually turned heavy with Fei Ren's appearance. The air was suddenly filled with the smell of gunpowder. A portion of the loose cultivators who sensed that something was amiss quietly retreated. Those who dared to stay behind were all people with powerful cultivations. The opportunities here had been divided among the various forces. However, the true inheritance of the tomb's owner hadn't appeared yet. Hence, the three major forces of each city, the Steel Corps, and some of the rogue cultivators with high cultivations were unwilling to leave the main hall. The head of the Yun family, Yun Xian, is at the second level of the Star Realm. No wonder he's one of the strongest in Yi City. However, that's all. Turning his gaze, Fei Ren slowly looked at Yun Xian, who was not far away, and grinned. Although it was a compliment, there was a hidden meaning in his words. Little brother, it's not a good thing to be young and impetuous. Sometimes you'll get into big trouble. Narrowing his eyes, Yun Xian's expression did not change in the face of Fei Ren's sarcasm. Instead of getting angry, he laughed. Although Fei Ren was quite powerful and could instantly kill Yuan Binshu, who was at the 10th stage of the Middle Union realm, he was still a second-stage Star Realm martial artist. He was not on the same level as Yuan Binshu, so he was naturally not afraid of the other party's threat. Boom! Yun Xian took a step forward, and his origin power swept out from his body. It instantly turned into a powerful aura that spread out in all directions. Some of the family guards and soldiers with weaker cultivations could not even stand straight. Their faces were filled with shock. The head of the Yun family, Yun Xian, is this the strength of a high-star realm martial artist? A 7th-stage Middle Union realm silver-armored soldier swallowed his saliva. He was shocked. Father, the Yun family is going to attack Brother Fei. Not far away, Cheng Zhouquan also sensed the murderous intent of Yun Xian and the others. His expression turned serious, and he spoke in an anxious tone. It seemed like he was going to help. Yun Xian, do you want to fight? As soon as he finished speaking, Cheng Batian also jumped up and landed in front of Fei Ren. His tall and sturdy body blocked Fei Ren's view, and his face was filled with determination. Not to mention that Fei Ren had once saved Cheng Zhouquan. With Fei Ren's talent and strength, the Cheng family would benefit greatly from befriending such a young genius. Therefore, Cheng Batian did not mind doing the other party a favor and stopping Yin Xian. Cheng Batian, do you insist on protecting this brat? Seeing Cheng Batian suddenly appearing out of nowhere, Yin Xian's face turned cold. It seemed like he had made up his mind to kill. The other party had humiliated him time and time again. Moreover, the other party had the mysterious bronze key in his hand. Naturally, he would not let Fei Ren go so easily. Since there was already a grudge between them, he would not rest until one of them was dead. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future. Senior Cheng, you don't have to do it. Fei Ren's indifferent voice came from behind him. In the next moment, Cheng Batian saw Fei Ren's figure flash and appear in front of him. Little brother, you. Cheng Batian's face froze. Fei Ren's speed was like a phantom. Even he, a martial artist of the first level of the Star Realm, could not see through him. How could Cheng Batian not be shocked? Could it be that this brat's strength is already above mine? This thought suddenly surfaced in Cheng Batian's mind. Before Cheng Batian could react, Fei Ren had already shot forward in the next instant. Surging Yuan power gathered in his left palm as he charged towards Yun Xian, who was not far away. Five Mountain King, capturing palm. Fei Ren raised his hand and blasted out a giant origin power palm. His eyes were like torches, and his expression was sharp. It was obvious that he did not hold back at all. Thunderstorm of 9 heavens. When he saw Fei Ren flying over to attack, Yun Xian also let out a long howl. He also circulated his strength and threw a palm forward. Numerous lightning snakes flashed and intertwined, instantly shattering the huge Yuan power palm that Fei Ren had thrown out, turning it into nothingness. Subsequently, the remaining power of the lightning snakes did not diminish as they swiftly attacked. Boom! Boom! The rolling lightning snakes penetrated the protective origin power and landed heavily on Fei Ren's body. In the next moment, they exploded. At this moment, waves of dust were raised in the hall. The spectators were all dumbfounded and shocked. This brat is dead. Guan Sua's throat moved. Normally, he would not have the chance to see a veteran expert like Yun Xian in action, not to mention that his opponent this time was a young junior. Whoosh! Just as everyone was sighing with emotion, a gray figure flew out and landed steadily. It was Fei Ren. Fei Ren's expression was slightly embarrassed. The clothes on his chest were completely torn apart by a lightning snake, but he did not suffer any serious injuries. His aura was like a rainbow, as if the previous move was just a warm-up. This brat didn't die after taking this old man's thunderstorm of 9 heavens. Seeing that Fei Ren did not suffer any serious injuries, Yun Xian narrowed his eyes and seemed to be surprised. This brat's strength? How is it possible? In the hall, Chang Qingshan was also shocked when he saw Fei Ren and Yun Xian fighting fiercely. As the deputy commander of the Steel Corps, he had never seen a young genius as powerful as Fei Ren. With his cultivation level of Middle Unity Realm, he was evenly matched with a martial artist of High Star Realm 2nd level. The gap between Middle Unity Realm and High Star Realm was like heaven and earth. One was like a mountain, while the other was like a ravine. They could not be compared at all. Even 7 or 8 ordinary Middle Unity Realm martial artists would not be a match for a High Star Realm martial artist of High Star Realm. The defense of the Black Tortoise armor has indeed improved as my cultivation has increased. That old bastard Yun Xian's cultivation is at the 2nd level of the Star Realm, yet his full-powered palm strike was only barely able to break the scale armor on my body. Fei Ren spat out a mouthful of saliva. His expression was normal, but there was even a hint of fighting spirit and excitement in his eyes. He had purposely taken Yun Xian's palm head-on just now to test the defensive power of the Black Tortoise armor. Otherwise, with his flawless snow steps movement technique at the perfection stage, Yun Xian's attack would not have been able to hit him. Moreover, if Fei Ren wanted to escape, Even if all the members of the Yun family attacked together, they would not be able to stop him. Fei Rin's current strength was comparable to that of a second-level Star Realm cultivator. Furthermore, he had also cultivated the traceless snow steps technique to perfection, so his speed was comparable to that of a fifth-level Star Realm cultivator. This was also the reason why he had been able to escape from the mysterious masked man. Chapter 138. Yin Xian, you old dog, is this all you've got? Fei Rin patted the dust off his body with a mocking look on his face. Bastard, you're courting death. Faced with Fei Rin's provocation, Yin Xian was naturally infuriated. He immediately flew out and attacked again. Rolling thunder snakes wrapped around his palms and condensed into a pair of thunder and lightning blades. He slashed at Fei Rin's head, intending to decapitate him. Good. Fei Rin didn't show any fear when he saw his opponent launch a strong attack. He leaned forward and raised his hand to launch a 5-Mountain King capturing palm. Although his cultivation had increased, the 5-Mountain King capturing palm, a quasi-4th-grade martial art, was also increasing in power. A martial artist of the first level of the Star Realm would have a hard time resisting it. Even a martial artist of the second level of the Star Realm, like Yin Xian, would have to use all his strength. Bang! Rumble! The flickering lightning snake and the enormous palm of Origin Energy collided fiercely. In the next moment, Origin Energy devoured and intertwined with each other before instantly exploding out. Yin Xian's body was blasted flying by the enormous force of impact. In the end, he collided with a stone pillar within the hall, and his face flushed red. Father, family head. Seeing Yin Xian at a disadvantage, the Yin family guards and Yin Tung's expressions changed drastically. Damn it! This brat, how did he— Yin Xian spat out a mouthful of thick blood. His face was pale, and even his aura had decreased a lot. He seemed to have been injured. As a martial artist of the second level of the Star Realm, he had been beaten back by a young martial artist of the 10th level of the Middle Union Realm. Moreover, he had been injured. How could Yin Xian not be furious and unwilling to accept this? Puffed. Thinking of this, Yin Xian couldn't help but be furious. He couldn't help but spit out more blood. His eyes were filled with killing intent and anger. As one of East City's veteran experts, Yin Xian had roamed the Jianghu for many years. When had he ever suffered such a loss? Even Cheng Batian and Guan Changhong hadn't been able to put him in such a difficult position. It was obvious how angry he was right now. Old dog Yin, you're no match for me. Not only will you die today, but your entire Yin family will also be buried with me. Glancing at Yin Xian, who was not far away, Fei Rin's expression gradually turned vicious. Yin Xian was the head of the Yun family, and also the only existence that could threaten him. As long as he got rid of Yin Xian, the rest of the Yun family was not even worth mentioning. Although the frequent use of the 5-Mountain King capturing palm consumed a lot of his energy, it was fortunate that Fei Rin had an abundance of energy in his Dantian. Although his cultivation was only at the 10th stage of the Middle Union Realm, his total amount of energy was not weaker than any martial artist at the first stage of the Star Realm. In fact, it was even a little stronger. Damn brat. Guard of the Yun family, listen up. Capture this person. Although his injuries weren't as serious as his life, Yin Xian knew that Fei Rin was difficult to deal with at this moment. Immediately, he no longer cared about his senior's face and shouted loudly. He planned to use the human wave tactic to kill Fei Rin. After all, there were still 10 to 20 guards of the Yun family present. They could be considered a decent fighting force. Yes, father, I'll help you kill this thief. With this order, Yun Tung and the other guards of the Yun family flew out and charged toward Fei Rin aggressively. A bunch of bastards. Facing the encirclement of the Yun family, Fei Rin's expression didn't change. At the same time, the spirit ring on his hand flashed, and he took out a large yellow flag with an ancient aura. It was the Heaven and Earth 8 trigrams flag that he had obtained in the Nameless Valley. Heaven and Earth 8 trigrams flag set up the formation. With a loud shout, countless origin power surged out of Fei Rin's body in the next instant. Then they surged into the heaven and earth 8 trigrams flag in his palm. Then the heaven and earth 8 trigrams flag throbbed. A pure white 8 trigrams heaven and earth formation spread out around Fei Ren's body. It instantly blocked the attacks of the Yun family, as if it was indestructible. 5th grade formation spirit treasure. When a spectator saw this, they couldn't help but widen their eyes. They didn't expect Fei Ren to have such a trump card. 5 Mountain King capturing palm. After blocking the attacks of the Yun family, Fei Ren's figure flashed and appeared before Yun Tung in an instant. Then he struck out with his left palm and penetrated Yun Tung's heart meridian in his chest. All the meridians and bones in his body were shattered at the same time. Immediately, blood gushed out. I. Yun Tung stuttered. In the next moment, his head tilted to the side. Then he breathed his last. The young genius of Yi City died in Fei Ren's hands just like that. He didn't have any strength to resist. He was like a grasshopper after autumn, unable to jump around anymore. Tunger, seeing Yun Tang's tragic death, Yun Xian, who was not far away, was furious. His face was filled with grief and anger. I want you dead. With a long roar, Yun Xian went completely crazy. His eyes were blood-red with rage. Then, he charged toward Fei Ren. Lightning snakes intertwined all over his body. Obviously, he had activated the embryonic form of the thunder concept to the extreme. At this moment, Yun Xian's overall strength was infinitely close to the 3rd level of the Star Realm. However, he still couldn't kill Fei Ren. Although each of his moves was extremely powerful, once a person lost their mind, their mentality would completely collapse. This old dog has gone crazy after losing his son. Using traceless snow steps, Fei Ren dodged Yun Xian's attacks while waving the Heaven and Earth 8 trigrams flag to set up layers of defensive formations to avoid the impact of the remaining origin power. Boom! In the fierce battle, another boom came out. In the next moment, a stone pillar in the main hall was destroyed by Yun Xian's rolling lightning snakes. With the Heaven and Earth 8 trigrams flag in hand, Yun Xian couldn't break through the defensive formations at all. With the agility of traceless snow steps, Fei Ren's attacks couldn't all land on him. He had the upper hand in this battle. Die! Facing Yun Xian, who was gradually going crazy, Fei Ren didn't go head-on against him. Instead, he retreated as he fought. After that, he found a flaw in Yun Xian's defense and suddenly blasted out with his palm, instantly striking Yun Xian's heart meridian. After that, his origin energy erupted and killed Yun Xian. Yun Xian's pupils also bulged. Then, his body fell down powerlessly. Large amounts of blood flowed on the ground, and he was completely turned into a corpse. At this point, a veteran expert of Yi City was completely dead. Crack! Crack! Boom! Just as Fei Ren killed Yun Xian, the main hall also started to shake, perhaps because the impact of the origin power from the battle was too strong. It was as if it would collapse at any time. The several huge stone pillars that were originally supporting the balance of the main hall also shattered, cracks appearing like spider webs. Boom! Bang! Suddenly, an enormous rock suddenly split open above the palace, and then it actually smashed an escort of the Golden Hong escort agency to death. He didn't even have time to let out a shrill cry before his flesh and blood were instantly mangled, and the scene was extremely shocking. At the same time, a thick purple mist started to spread out from the surroundings of the palace. The smell of the purple mist was strong, like some kind of nameless poison. A few rogue cultivators in the crowd accidentally smelled a trace of it, and they bled to death on the spot with their 7 orifices bleeding. Their entire bodies were completely purple. It's the 9-9 extreme love poison. Guan Changhong's expression changed greatly. He had once learned about this poison in an ancient book. This poison was refined from the poison sac of the high-profound rank magical beast, the evil-faced spider. Its toxicity was so great that even a high-star realm martial artist would have to circulate his full strength to resist it. As for a middle and high-star realm martial artist, he would definitely die if he touched it. What? As soon as he finished speaking, the few surviving guards of the Yun family and the members of the Chung family also changed their expressions greatly, especially Chung Batian. His originally resolute face was now filled with astonishment. It seemed that he still hadn't recovered from the previous fierce battle. After all, Fei Ren's cultivation was only at the 10th level of the middle and high star realm. However, he had turned the tide in one fell swoop and killed Yun Xian, who was at the 2nd level of the high star realm. Even his son, Yin Tung, had died. They couldn't help but be shocked. Oh no, this place is going to collapse. At this moment, Chang Qingshan also shouted fiercely. They were now in the depths of the palace, and there was a strong poisonous gas all around them. If they couldn't break out in time, it was very likely that they would be in deep danger and be buried here forever with the original owner of the tomb. Soldiers, listen to my order. Retreat. After hurriedly throwing down an order, Chang Qingshan didn't care about the others. He immediately turned into a swift shadow and flew toward the entrance of the palace. There was a stone door there. It was the passage that they had used to enter the palace. Damn it! Is the inheritance left by the owner of the tomb going to be buried here forever? Seeing that he couldn't obtain the true inheritance left by the owner of the ancient tomb, Guan Changhong was naturally unwilling. However, due to Fei Ren's valiant strength and the possibility of the palace collapsing at any time, if they didn't retreat in time, they would be eroded to death by the surrounding 99 extreme love poison, even if they weren't buried by the palace. Chapter 139. Father, it'll be too late if we don't run now. Guan Saw, who was standing beside him, looked anxious. Even though he didn't get the inheritance of the tomb's owner, he was still unwilling to accept it. However, the hall was about to collapse, and the 99 passion poison was spreading around them. If he didn't run now, he would be buried here. Moreover, Fei Ren's terrifying strength had completely shocked everyone present. Almost no one had thought that one of Yi City's veteran experts, Yun Xian, would die at his hands. Even his son, Yin Tung, died on the spot. Damn it. Let's go. Guan Changhong's old face flushed red as he turned his head to look at the collapsing hall. In the next moment, he turned around and hurriedly left. The Yuan power in his body was circulated to the limit, and his movement technique was extremely fast. Not long after, he rushed out of the hall. Little brother, Fei run. This place is about to collapse. Let's go. Chung Batian shouted from afar. He didn't stop and also ran out of the hall. Chung Zhouquan and the Chung family's guards followed closely behind. They didn't dare to be negligent. Only a few of the Yun family's guards ran out in a hurry. After Yun Xian and Yun Tung died, the Yun family's decline was foreseeable. They might even fall from being a first-rate force and become a second-rate or a third-rate force. Even though he didn't get the true inheritance of the tomb's owner, Chung Batian wasn't too disappointed. His rival, Yun Xian, was dead, and the Chung family's threat was completely removed. As for the Golden Rainbow Escort Service, although it was also a first-rate force, its strength was far weaker than the Yun family's. Chung Batian wasn't too worried about it. Bang! The hall was filled with the sound of explosions and fleeing. Fei Ren punched out and destroyed a huge stone pillar that was falling towards him. Then, he circulated his Yuan power to resist the corrosion of the 99 passion poison. Obviously, he didn't hear Chung Batian shout. His expression was grave. Rumble, rumble. The 99 extreme love poison in the surroundings gradually became denser, and soon it covered the entire hall. Some of the rogue cultivators who did not have the time to escape screamed miserably, and then the poison corroded their bodies and killed them, turning them into corpses with purple mist on their faces. It's over. We can't get out. Fei Ren's brows were slightly knitted, and his expression was extremely unsightly. The area under his feet was the area where the 99 passion extinction poison was the most concentrated. Just using his essence force to resist the poison gas had exhausted most of his essence force, and there was no chance for him to escape from the hall. Brother Fei. After escaping from the hall, he saw that Fei Run was still trapped in the hall that was about to collapse. His figure was gradually swallowed by the poisonous gas of the 99 aphrodisiac poison. Chung Zhoquan also widened his eyes and shouted out in shock. He really could not believe that Fei Run, who killed Yin Xian and his son, did not succeed in escaping from the hall and was finally drowned by the poisonous gas of the 99 passion extinction poison. Father, this kid named Fei Run is finished. In the outside world, Guan Sua's face was full of excitement, and then a trace of fear appeared on his face. He had to admit that Fei Rin's powerful strength had brought a lot of pressure to Guan Sua. Although the Golden Rainbow Escort Service and Fei Run had no enmity, the death of such a powerful young genius and the death of a young master of the Yun family, Yun Tong, was also good news for Guan Sua. Now, the only person who could be considered as his opponent was Chung Zhoquan. What a pity, such a young genius warrior. This kid must be a descendant of some sect or family. But this has nothing to do with our Golden Rainbow Escort Service. So, let's go. Looking back at the collapsed palace, Guan Changhong's expression flickered, and then he snorted lightly and continued to rush out of the tomb at lightning speed. Damn it, there's no other way. Seeing that Fei Ren could not escape from the hall, Chung Baishan's expression was also uncertain, and then he gritted his teeth and also led the Chung family to leave this place. Even he could not completely resist the power of the 99 passion extinction poison, let alone save Fei Ren. Father, are we just going to leave like this? On the side, Chung Zhoquan was still a little unwilling to leave. Moreover, the other party was his benefactor in the past, and this was not his character. Quan the 99 emotionless poison is no ordinary poison. Anyone below the high star realm will definitely die if they come into contact with it. Even I have to consume most of my origin power to resist this poison. Moreover, since Fei Ren was able to kill Yin Xian and his son, I believe that he has the ability to escape. Glancing at Chung Zhoquan, Chung Batian clearly made up his mind, and he continued to rush out of the tomb without slowing down. In the ruins of the hall, a thick purple mist covered the entire place, and Fei Ren's figure was trapped in a corner of the hall, but there were bursts of green light around his body, and at the same time, the thick purple mist was separated, as if he was immune to all poisons, and it was very magical. I didn't expect this bronze key to have such a function. Tightly holding a rusty bronze key in his hand, Fei Run was surprised. He had snatched this bronze key from Yuan Benshu, and it was also one of the many treasures left in this hall. Fei Run originally thought that this thing was not very valuable, but he did not expect it to save his life in the end. This thing is really magical. Tightly holding the bronze key in his hand, Fei Ren's face was filled with emotions. Originally, he had planned to summon the divine Immortal Cauldron and use the 8 trigrams flag to resist the poison, but just as the 99 passion extinction poison's poison was about to break through his protective primary power, the bronze key in his hand suddenly changed, and bursts of green light surged out and enveloped his body, and at the same time, it separated the surrounding purple mist, preventing the poison from entering his body. Hum. The bronze key emitted a gentle light, as if it was guiding Fei Ren to a certain place. Raising his eyebrows, Fei Ren naturally saw the bronze keys change. Could it be that there is something else here? His heart skipped a beat, and Fei Ren's face changed slightly. Although the treasures in the hall had already been snatched away, the inheritance left behind by the tomb's owner still had not appeared. Sensing the mysterious change in the bronze key in his hand, Fei Ren suddenly had a bold idea in his mind. The inheritance of the tomb's owner. The bronze key in his hand was very likely to be related to the inheritance left behind by the tomb's owner, and it was also one of the important opportunities. There is indeed a secret passage here. If I'm not wrong, this should be the main tomb, the tomb's owner's final resting place. Following the guidance of the bronze key, after a few breaths, Fei Ren came to a dark corner of the collapsed hall and then reached out his left palm, and at the same time felt around in the crack of the wall, and finally his face changed slightly. Kala, Kala, there was a keyhole in the crack of the wall, and in the next moment, Faerun slowly inserted the bronze key, and then gently rotated it, and with a tremor, a dark narrow passage slowly appeared behind the wall, and it seemed to lead to the main tomb. It really is the main tomb. Seeing this scene, Faerun could not help but be overjoyed. Chapter 140. After passing through the dark tunnel, Faerun soon arrived at a narrow tomb chamber. The tomb chamber was not large, and there was no coffin. There was only a nameless skeleton, which seemed to be the remains of the tomb's owner. Beside the nameless skeleton were 3 treasures. The 3 treasures were all different. They were respectively a gray and simple manual, a strange stone that was completely white and emitted a piercingly cold aura, and an incomparably sharp azure dragon halberd that was over 10 feet long. The true inheritance of the tomb's owner. As soon as he stepped into the tomb chamber, Faerun looked around and was instantly overjoyed. Judging from the age of the nameless skeleton in front of him, although it had not turned into dust, it had been dead for at least 20 to 30 years. Although the life of a warrior was longer than that of an ordinary person, it was not eternal. Even a martial spirit realm expert would die one day. And the owner of the tomb chamber under Faerun's feet naturally could not escape the heavenly Tao law and finally turned into a pile of white bones. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune. If I can get the inheritance of a martial spirit realm expert, even the current Great Chu royal family will have to bow down to me. Faerun suppressed the excitement in his heart, and the next moment, he slowly walked toward the nameless skeleton in the tomb chamber. His expression returned to caution. Although the inheritance was right in front of him, Faerun was not careless. Previously, there were many traps in the hall, and there was even a rare poison like the 9-9 passion poison. He had to be careful to avoid capsizing in the gutter. After all, Faerun had already used the bronze key to open the secret passage in the main tomb chamber. If he encountered any danger now, he could not guarantee that he would not be buried alive here and sleep with the corpse of the tomb's owner in front of him. Although the immortal refining cauldron was an immortal treasure, Faerun could not unleash its full power at the moment. Moreover, activating the 8 trigrams flag required a large amount of origin energy. If the main tomb chamber in front of him collapsed because of some mechanism, he would not be able to last long underground with his origin energy. Sooner or later, he would be buried alive. No danger. As he approached the nameless skeleton, Faerun realized that he had not triggered any traps. He heaved a sigh of relief and looked at the 3 treasures beside him. The great art of flying heaven and burrowing earth is a grade 6 movement martial art. It was comprehended by a martial spirit realm rogue cultivator when he observed the battle of the golden-winged great pungbird. Once this martial art is successfully cultivated, one can fly in the air and roam the horizon, ignoring the difference in realms. Today, I was fortunate to have obtained it. Lifting his hand to pick up the gray ancient manual, Faerun's face was filled with astonishment. This was actually a 6th grade martial art. Moreover, it was a rare movement martial art. This great flying earth burrowing technique sounds much more powerful than the traceless snow steps. Exhaling lightly, Faerun gradually withdrew his shocked expression. The rank 6 movement technique in front of him was not simple. It was obviously left behind by the tomb's owner when he was still alive. One had to know that even high-star realm martial artists were unable to fly in the air. They could only stay in the air for a short period of time. The ability to fly in the air could only be grasped after stepping into the 3rd realm of the martial body and becoming a martial master. The great art of flying heaven and burrowing earth burrowing technique in front of him could allow martial artists to grasp the ability to fly in the air. Moreover, it ignored the difference in realms. In other words, as long as one cultivated this movement technique, even a middle and high realm martial artist could fly in the air and truly roam the horizon. Good stuff. Fei Ren was naturally extremely happy to have picked up a 6th-grade movement technique for free. Although cultivating the great art of flying heaven and burrowing earth burrowing technique did not increase his strength by much, this move was one of the most important life-saving methods. Previously, he had relied on the traceless snow steps movement technique to escape the pursuit of the mysterious masked man. If Fei Ren could cultivate this great art of flying heaven and burrowing earth burrowing technique, he would not be afraid of anyone below the martial master realm. After all, high-star realm martial artists could not fly in the air. As long as Fei Ren used the great art of flying heaven and burrowing earth burrowing technique, no matter how strong the opponent was, they would never be able to catch up to him. After storing the great art of flying heaven and burrowing earth burrowing technique in his spirit ring, Fei Ren once again looked at the other 2 treasures. Cold Ice Stone, a type of heaven and earth spirit stone. It is produced in an extremely cold place. This item can be immune to the corrosion of cold qi and yin qi. At the same time, it can assist martial artists in their cultivation, allowing them to increase their cultivation speed by at least 2-fold. It is a rare cultivation treasure. At the same time, this spirit stone can allow a corpse to not decay for hundreds of years and become lifelike. Green Dragon Halberd, a 5th-grade spirit treasure made by a 5th-grade weapon refiner. Its entire body was forged from meteorites that fell from the sky. The head of the halberd can be inlaid with a high-level demon core of the profound rank or above, thus greatly increasing the power of this weapon. Just as his finger touched the white spirit stone and the green dragon halberd, in the next moment, an unfamiliar message suddenly entered Fei Ren's mind, causing his expression to involuntarily turn cold. Cold Ice Stone and Green Dragon Halberd, the inheritance left behind by the tomb's owner, is indeed extraordinary. Taking a deep breath, Fei Ren's expression could not remain calm. Compared to the treasures and opportunities in the hall before, the Cold Ice Stone and Green Dragon Halberd in front of him were undoubtedly the true treasures. As for the other elixirs and spirit treasures, they were all trash. Little bastard, if you don't put down the things in your hands, I will kill you. Just as Fei Ren was secretly rejoicing, a gloomy and cold male voice suddenly came from outside the tomb. Following that, a black shadow flashed, and a mysterious masked man who had disappeared for a long time appeared out of thin air in the tomb. At this moment, his eyes were filled with killing intent. "It's you." Looking at the mysterious mask that suddenly appeared in front of him, Fei Ren's expression changed slightly. He immediately subconsciously circulated his yuan power. At the same time, he raised his eyes to look at the mysterious masked man not far away. His delicate and handsome face was filled with vigilance. This bastard is indeed here for the inheritance of the ancient tomb's owner. Damn it, he was actually able to discover this place. Previously, Fei Ren had felt that something was wrong. No matter how intense the battle was, the mysterious masked man who had chased him all the way did not appear, as if he had evaporated into thin air. Now, it seemed that the other party had done it on purpose, planning to take advantage of the situation. "Little bastard, that lord's inheritance is not something that a bastard like you can touch." Seeing Fei Ren's serious expression, as if he was facing a great enemy, the mysterious masked man laughed coldly, as if the other party was already a turtle in a jar, and his tone was playful. Universe 8 trigrams flag. Set up the formation. Without wasting any time with the mysterious masked man, Fei Ren took out the Universe 8 trigrams flag, and then circulated his yuan power to set up a formation in front of him. At the same time, he quickly kept the Cold Ice Stone and Green Dragon Halberd on the ground into a spirit ring, turned around, and rushed towards the exit of the tomb, obviously intending to escape. "Ant, wanna run?" Seeing that Fei Ren was planning to escape, the mysterious masked man shouted angrily. At the same time, he raised his hand and blasted out a black yuan power waterfall, instantly destroying the formation of the Universe 8 trigrams flag into nothingness. At the same time, it ruthlessly smashed onto Fei Ren's back, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Ugh! Feeling the intense pain coming from his back, Fei Rin's face turned red in the next moment. He forcefully suppressed the sweetness in his throat and continued to rush towards the entrance of the tomb. However, his speed had decreased by a lot. After all, the other party was a level 1 martial master expert, and his strength was far greater than his. At the moment, Fei Rin could only choose to run. If he fought head-on, he would undoubtedly die. After all, he and the mysterious masked man in front of him were an entire realm apart. Chapter 141. Where do you think you're going? With a leap, the mysterious masked man landed directly in front of Fei Rin, completely blocking his escape route. The tomb was very narrow and the space was limited. The mysterious masked man blocked the only exit. Fei Rin was obviously in a dilemma. Unless he defeated the mysterious masked man in front of him, it would be difficult for him to survive. Damn it, this bastard. Fei Rin's expression kept changing. Seeing that the other party was determined to kill him and was coming at him aggressively, it was obvious that he would not let him leave this place alive. Universe 8 Trigrams flag. The mysterious yellow flag in his hand was waved once again. In the next instant, Fei Rin circulated the Yuan power in his body and set up another defensive formation. Even though he knew that he could not defeat the enemy with brute force, the current him had no way out. Green Netherworld Palm. With a cold snort, the mysterious masked man blasted out another palm across the air. The rolling origin energy turned into a huge black spirit snake and instantly destroyed the defensive formation set up by Fei Rin. Then, the remaining power attacked Fei Rin's body. Bang! Rumble! The black spirit snake cut through the air with a roar and finally hit Fei Rin's vital point in his abdomen. In the next moment, the silver armor shattered and the originally indestructible black tortoise armor became extremely fragile. It only blocked the opponent's attack for a breath before completely shattering. Poochie, with a flushed face, Fei Rin's body flew backward like a kite with a broken string. Then he spat out a mouthful of thick blood and smashed into the wall of the main tomb. The huge impact shattered the nameless skeleton beside him, turning it into a pile of bone dust. Who are you? Forcing himself to stand up, Fei Rin's eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger as he questioned the mysterious masked man in front of him. Although his origin energy cultivation had broken through to the 10th level of the Middle Union stage, and his overall strength was comparable to a 3rd-level star realm martial artist, he still had no power to fight back against the mysterious masked man in front of him. The masked man's strength was far beyond his imagination. He had already reached the 1st level of the Martial Master Realm, a Martial Master Realm expert, not to mention the entire Dacha dynasty. Even the neighboring Western Shan Kingdom, Beigong Kingdom, and Fuyao Kingdom did not have such an expert. Even the most powerful Dongling province in the entire Hengguan mountain range region was only a 10th-level star realm martial artist who had not stepped into the Martial Master Realm. Ant, you don't have the right to know where I came from. But since you're already a dead man, I don't mind telling you some secrets. Facing Fei Rin's question, the mysterious masked man laughed heartily. Then, he slowly removed the ghost mask on his face, revealing a young and gloomy face. He was a young man who was not even 30 years old. How could this guy? Seeing that the mysterious masked man was actually such a young man, Fei Rin was also in disbelief. However, he still forced himself to remain calm. He was not even 30 years old, but his origin energy cultivation had reached the 1st level of the Martial Master Realm. Even the current emperor, Chu Tianyang, was far inferior to him. If Fei Rin had not fused with the Immortal refining cauldron, it would have been impossible for him to surpass the other party. Little bastard, my name is Shun Kong, and I'm a favorite of Lord Serpent Snake. You better listen carefully before you go to hell, or else you won't even know who killed you when you die. The corners of the mysterious young man's mouth rose slightly. He also smiled mockingly. At the same time, he stretched out his slender palm. The next moment, origin energy surged in it. It was as if a lifelike pitch-black spirit snake was dancing in his palm, causing people's hearts to palpitate. Shen Kong, Lord Serpent Luo, hearing this, Fei Ren's mind immediately trembled. Then, his mind quickly turned at this moment, but he still came up with nothing. No matter how he racked his brain, there was still no understanding of Lord Serpent Luo in his mind. Just like the purple-robed woman who was known as the Night Demon Fairy, it was obvious that these people were far away from the Dachu dynasty and beyond his knowledge. It's not surprising that you don't know Lord Serpent Luo in a place with a barren martial arts civilization and far away from the center of the continent. Hand over the treasures in your hands obediently, and I can let you die a little faster. Seeing Fei Ren's reaction, Shen Kong seemed to have expected it and immediately laughed. Today, I have fallen in your hands. I accept my fate. I can give you all the treasures, but what is the background of the Lord you mentioned and Lord Serpent Luo? I don't want to die without knowing why. Fei Ren took out the cold ice stone, green dragon halberd, and flying earth burrowing technique from the spirit ring. The next moment, he threw them to Shen Kong. Then he sat cross-legged on the ground. His face was still calm and serious, as if he had accepted his fate and did not have any intention of resisting. Little bastard, you're quite sensible. Seeing that Fei Ren no longer resisted, Shen Kong also laughed. His face was cold and playful. The area of the main tomb was small, and he had blocked the only exit. The other party could not escape, even if he had wings. Moreover, relying on the powerful cultivation of level 1 martial master, Shen Kong was confident that he was not afraid of Fei Ren playing any tricks. Cold ice stone, green dragon halberd. There's also flying earth burrowing technique. This is indeed the burial place of that lord. TSK. I didn't expect that the ambitious and ruthless dragon sect would die in a small place like the Dacha dynasty. It really makes one sigh after storing the cold ice stone, azure dragon halberd, and other treasures into his spirit ring. Shen Kong raised his eyes to look at Fei Ren and said coldly, "Little bastard, do you know the heavenly dragon sect?" Now that he had obtained all the inheritance treasures left behind by the master of the tomb, Shen Kong's state of mind had also undergone some subtle changes. Facing Fei Ren's request, he did not open his mouth to refuse. He seemed to be a little complacent and did not mind revealing his background. In any case, after today, Fei Ren would undoubtedly be a dead man. No matter how many secrets he revealed, the other party would not spread them out. This was also Shen Kong's confidence in his own strength. He was sure that Fei Ren would not be able to escape from his hands a second time, and in such a small tomb. Dragon Sect. As soon as Shen Kong's voice fell, Fei Ren's mind trembled, and his face gradually became serious. Although he had never heard of this name, he knew that it was not simple. The other party was most likely someone from the Dragon Sect. That's right, Dragon Sect. At the end of his words, Shen Kong deliberately raised his voice and said with a heavy tone. At this moment, he could not help but reveal a trace of fanaticism on his face. Dragon Sect. I have not found any records of this sect in any ancient books of the Dacha dynasty. Could it be that it is a powerful sect outside of the Dacha dynasty? Frowning slightly, Fei Ren immediately fell into deep thought. The next moment, Shen Kong's voice sounded again, as if he had seen through the thoughts in his heart. Little bastard, the Heavenly Dragon Sect was the #1 sect in the Xianxing continent back then. It was like the sun in the midday sky. Its strength and foundation were so strong that even those so-called hidden sects, clans, and great families of the continent did not dare to easily offend it. You only need to understand one thing. Dragon Sect is the only ruler and overlord of this continent. Although my sect is not as lonely as before, there will be a day when Dragon Sect will once again rule the world. The power of the world. Glancing at Fei Ren again, Shen Kong's face became fierce, and his tone gradually became crazy and excited, as if he was a fanatical believer. Chapter 142. The #1 sect in the Xianxing continent. Since this bastard is from the dragon sect, I'm not his match at all. I have to find a way to escape. Pretending to be calm, Fei Ren thought to himself. Although he did not know the exact name of the dragon sect that Shen Kong spoke of, since the dragon sect dared to claim to be the #1 sect in the Xianxing continent, it must have its foundation. Moreover, he was not willing to wait for death here. Even if it was a narrow escape, he had to try to break out. Little bastard, you didn't die for no reason. I'll send you on your way. As soon as he finished speaking, he seemed to be tired of continuing to talk nonsense with Fei Ren. In the next moment, Shen Kong flashed in front of Fei Ren, and at the same time, struck out with his palm. So fast, Fei Ren's mind trembled. Just as he was about to dodge, the other party grabbed his throat and lifted him into the air. You, bastard! His face flushed red. However, no matter how he channeled his origin energy, Fei Ren was still unable to break free from the other party's palm. He immediately cursed out loud. After all, Shen Kong was a level 1 martial master expert. His cultivation was far superior to his, and Fei Ren was only a level 10 middle unity martial artist. The origin energy in his dantian was not enough to resist the other party's attack. Naturally, he was powerless to resist. Damn it, am I going to be buried here? At this moment, even though he was extremely unwilling in his heart, Fei Ren also roared out. Even the immortal refining cauldron in the depths of his dantian seemed to have sensed his call. Immediately, strands of blazing spiritual fire were emitted from the cauldron. Then it filled his entire body like a fireball from outer space. What? Sensing the changes in Fei Ren's body, as well as the scorching heat coming from his palm, Shen Kong was also stunned. Destroy! With a roar, strands of powerful origin energy suddenly gushed out from his body. Fei Ren lifted his leg and kicked towards Shen Kong's abdomen. At the same time, his body flipped and broke through the other party's palm, landing at the back of the tomb. What's going on? My elemental energy has become stronger again. Fei Ren's entire body was covered in raging flames. In the next moment, the raging flames gradually dissipated. At the same time, Fei Ren's origin power cultivation unexpectedly broke through and reached the half-step high star realm. I broke through during the battle. I didn't expect the divine immortal refining cauldron to save my life. Fei Ren's expression turned solemn as he felt his dantian bursting with essence energy. Ever since he had obtained the immortal refining divine cauldron, apart from refining and healing, he had never thought that the immortal refining divine cauldron had the ability to defend against enemies. Just now, Fei Ren had relied on the blazing spiritual fire that suddenly surged out from the immortal refining cauldron to have the chance to force Shen Kong back and successfully escape. A breakthrough! This little bastard's talent is not bad, but he still can't escape death. On the opposite side, Shen Kong also let out a soft cry of surprise. Cultivators who were able to break through in the midst of a life and death crisis or in the midst of battle were all people with extraordinary talent. It was obvious that Fei Ren was also classified as such by him. However, although Shen Kong was a member of the Heavenly Dragon sect and was also a first-level martial master expert, he did not discover the secret of the immortal refining cauldron in Fei Ren's body. He only thought that Fei Ren had accidentally broken through in a life and death situation. Die! Shen Kong raised his eyebrows and did not give Fei Ren any time to catch his breath. In the next moment, he flew over again. At the same time, he blasted out dozens of black spirit snakes condensed from elemental energy. As the spirit snakes roared, they instantly wrapped around Fei Ren's body, intending to strangle him to death. Whoosh! Boom! Just as the black spirit snakes were about to attack Fei Ren, another tremor came from the tomb chamber. Then, an ice-blue elemental energy appeared out of thin air, blocking all the black spirit snakes outside, like a defensive wall. In the next moment, it completely exploded, turning into a burst of ice crystals that scattered all over the ground. Who is it? Seeing that his attack was blocked, Shen Kong's face changed greatly, and he shouted out in a low voice. The other party could easily block his full force attack. Obviously, the strength of the person who came was not ordinary, at least at the martial master level, or even far beyond him. Could it be that the news has been leaked? This is impossible. Shin Kong's face was uncertain. At the same time, he took a few steps back. His eyes were full of vigilance, as if he was facing a great enemy. "You are one of Serpent Lord's men." In the void, a deep man's voice slowly came out, as if the Grim Reaper had returned from the netherworld. It was hollow and lifeless, and it instantly spread throughout the tomb chamber. "It has been 30 years. I didn't expect to see someone from the Heavenly Dragon sect in such a place. Maybe this is fate." As soon as the voice fell, a middle-aged man in a white robe appeared out of thin air in the middle of the tomb chamber. However, his face was incomparably pale, and his long hair was disheveled. His eyes were as calm as water, like a reclusive person who was not bothered by worldly affairs. From time to time, there was a trace of emotion in his words. You're not dead yet. How is this possible?" Looking at the middle-aged man in a white robe who suddenly appeared in front of him, Shun Kong's eyes widened, and the hair on his body stood on end. It was as if he had seen some terrifying demon. "Go back and tell Maharaga that I, Zhang Qingyang, did not join the Heavenly Dragon sect to work for him, but for that person. Moreover, a small fry like you is not worthy of my things." With a cold snort, the middle-aged man in a white robe raised his hand, and a brilliant, icy blue Yuanli swept out. Then it hit Shun Kong's vital point in the abdomen, instantly sending him flying. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, and even the spirit ring in his hand was shaken off and fell to the ground. "I didn't expect Captain Zhang's strength to be as strong as ever. This subordinate has offended you. I will take my leave now." Struggling to get up from the ground, Shun Kong's face was as gloomy as stagnant water. He then said in a low voice. He did not even dare to pick up the spirit ring on the ground and hurriedly fled the tomb chamber. The other party did not kill him, probably because they were both Heavenly Dragon sect members in the past. Shin Kong naturally did not dare to stay any longer, and as a member of the Heavenly Dragon sect, he knew very well how powerful this middle-aged man in a white robe named Zhang Qingyang was. Even his superior, Maharaga, who was known as the Serpent King, did not dare to underestimate him. What's going on? At this time, Fei Run, who was next to him, was also stunned. Looking at the middle-aged man in a white robe who had appeared out of thin air in front of him and Shun Kong, who was fleeing in panic on the other side, he was a little confused. Originally, he thought that this was a situation where he had a slim chance of survival, but now he had inexplicably broken out of the situation. It was strange. "Senior Zhang, thank you for saving my life." Seeing Shun Kong retreat, Fei Ren knew that the danger was over. He immediately saluted the middle-aged man in a white robe named Zhang Qingyang and said in a respectful tone. From Shin Kong's words, it could be seen that the other party seemed to be from a former number 1 sect on the continent, the Heavenly Dragon sect, and his strength and status in the sect were not low. In addition, the other party had saved his life, so Fei Ren naturally did not dare to be negligent. "Boy, for you to be able to come here and obtain my inheritance shows that you and I are fated. Moreover, I've been dead for a long time, and now only a wisp of my soul is left. It will not be long before it completely dissipates between heaven and earth. I only hope that you will not fail to live up to my inheritance." Seeing that Shin Kong had fled the tomb chamber, Zhang Qingyang also withdrew his gaze and then looked at Fei Ren. His tone was indifferent, and even the momentum on his body had weakened a little. His figure was like an erratic, ghostly shadow, which seemed to be caused by forcing Shin Kong to retreat. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.